All right. Happy Sunday, everybody. We are live here in Rochester, New Hampshire, as we continue the road to New Hampshire primary happening on Tuesday. Hello, everybody. Brian Glenn here, live on scene here. Now, we are in an opera house here in downtown Rochester, the very intimate setting. It's kind of a two-level opera house, and we'll kind of get to some shots here in just a second. What a beautiful venue for today's speech. Now, to unpack a lot of breaking news, we have a lot of things that we want to get to in the next couple of hours before President Trump is scheduled at 7 p.m. tonight. I believe we have some speakers here, program that will start slightly before that. But we are waiting for President Trump to get here, scheduled at 7 p.m. Now, earlier, and we'll get to that video at the bottom of the hour, Matthew Alvarez had a chance to catch up with President Trump on the campaign trail as he stopped in to a campaign headquarters, and we'll get to that. And he was on the ground with the president, even got a little bit of a reaction post the breaking news that developed about 2.5 hours ago as Ron DeSantis has officially suspended his campaign for president. This is something that a lot of people anticipated would happen, maybe not as soon as it did today, but certainly I thought we would go through the New Hampshire primary and even well into South Carolina before we started to see a DeSantis dropout. So it is now a two-man race here. Obviously, the polls leaning very heavily towards President Trump, as he has a commanding 30, depending on what poll you look at, anywhere from 22 to 30% lead on Nikki Haley as we make our way into South Carolina. But I think it's very interesting to point out that Ron DeSantis was not in New Hampshire yesterday. He was in South Carolina, and from what I understand, he was planning to be back here in New Hampshire today. Now, will we see Ron DeSantis here at this event? Will we hear from him? Now, earlier he did post up a message on X, basically a short, brief statement about dropping out of the race and the reason for it. And, of course, he did say there was no path to victory. And in respect to his followers and respect to campaign donations and people that were, donating to his campaign, felt it was the right thing to do to suspend his campaign. Now, if you look at the numbers, what he was trending here in New Hampshire, I think he was down at 6-7%. So he was definitely in a very distant third. So I got a couple reaction earlier from some supporters that have been really at this one gentleman said he's been here at 69 rallies. This is his 69th rally to attend. I asked him, what's your thoughts on Ron DeSantis stepping out? And his exact answer to me was, quote, "It's a little too late, Ron. We know what you're all about," end quote. Now, as we move forward, obviously, I'm sure Ron DeSantis has his vision set perhaps in 28. Some were speculating earlier on Fox News. They were even talking about perhaps a vice president pick or selection for DeSantis. I think that's really out of the question. That's not going to happen. But nevertheless, that's the speculation that people seem to think that Ron DeSantis has a place in this 2024 race, even on the VP side. So I completely disagree with that. I don't think that's going to happen. We got a lot going on. We're going to also, and here in a little bit, we're going to have a live look at President Trump's motorcade making its way from Waukesha to Rochester, where we're at now. It's about an hour and 10 minutes, depending on the flow of traffic. But we should have a live look inside there as well as he makes his way here. And, and just so much has unfolded in the last, 24 hours. We've gone from, these poll. Well, let's step aside. Hang on a second. Let's listen in real quick. They're chanting, "We believe that Trump will win. We believe that Trump will win." That's the chant that just broke out here just moments ago. Now, this is a very historic building here in Rochester. It is an opera house. The floor that we're standing on is one of the only floors known in this country to not be a hydraulic floor. It uses a different kind of a pulley lever system, and it actually raises the floor up. And those, if you will give you a shot of the seats up above, they're actually at an angle right now, which is very interesting. But first of all, let's talk about our friends over at the Birch Gold Group. With the economy, the uncertainty of the election, the uncertainty of the dollar, and the uncertainty about your investments, we want you to make sure that your financial freedom is secure. And that's why our friends over the Birch Gold Group want to send a free information kit to you. It's absolutely no obligation. It's got all the facts in investing in silver, gold, and precious metals. And you can do just that by simply texting the words Trump to 989898. That is Trump to 989898. And you know, they've helped out thousands of our viewers, and they've helped secure the financial freedom, and that's what it's all about. You've worked your entire life. You've been able to save. You're able to invest, and despite what some of the market conditions come up, historically, gold, silver, precious metals have outperformed rather, some of the indexes. So it might be a great place to put your money. Just simply text the words Trump to 989898. That is the Birch Gold Group. Okay, so last night, we made our way over to Rochester here. I guess it would be the fourth event so far, taking us all the way through election night on the 23rd. Now there's 1,215 delegates. Let us step aside. Let's listen to this again. We'll get into the delegate count. You can imagine that the enthusiasm is obviously, I think, probably what the highest point so far in this cycle, because of now that it's down to essentially a two-man race with Nikki Haley. And of course, looking at the size of a lead that President Trump has on Nikki Haley, one can suggest that it's only a matter of time before perhaps she drops out of the race as well. But you need 1,215 delegates to win the GOP nomination. So we are certainly a far cry from that. When we wrap it up here, we head to Nevada, where there is a primary and there is a caucus. Now, Nikki Haley is participating in the primary. President Trump is not participating in the primary, and that is for a good reason, because that is a meaningless primary. That is a primary that has virtually no value other than perhaps, the news cycle saying that you won the vote in the Nevada primary. Of course, I don't know who else at this point is on that primary. She may just go completely unchallenged, because at this point, Ron DeSantis was on the caucus, not the primary. So as it stands right now, yes, Nikki Haley is probably going to win the Nevada primary, but that is a worthless win. The real points, the real delegates, go over to the Nevada caucus. That's where the delegates are actually awarded. And Christina Bobb, and maybe we'll re-rack that segment here shortly. We talked about the value of the caucus and the reason why a caucus is in place. Now, the caucus in Nevada is very similar to what they do in Iowa. It's paper ballot, small groups. They vote same day, so within a couple of hours. Well, actually, the Nevada is a little bit longer than Iowa, but you do have the totals at the end of the caucus, and you're able to declare a winner of that caucus. So that's what President Trump is participating on. The date that you need to remember on that is February 8th. Now the primary is February 6th. So if you live in Nevada and you've gotten a primary ballot in the mail, do not be alarmed if President Trump's name is not on that ballot. He is not participating in the primary. He's only participating in the caucus. So we're glad we got that clear. And then after Nevada, we head over to South Carolina, where I think even by then you start to see, hopefully, that margin even widen a little bit more, because I guess one would only assume that the DeSantis voters, which, by the way, Ron DeSantis has already publicly pushed out a statement endorsing President Trump as his nominee. So I can only suggest that those voters would swing towards President Trump's direction. Now, one news outlet was speculating that perhaps there was a lot of, Trump or DeSantis voters rather that were disenfranchised and simply were not going to shift their attention over to President Trump. Now, I would only imagine that the two are very similar in their ideologies. I mean, of course, Ron DeSantis' game plan and what he stood for was very, very similar to President Trump's America First agenda. The only difference is that a lot of DeSantis voters said was they perhaps didn't like his mannerisms or some of the controversy that surrounded President Trump, but nevertheless they agreed with his policies. And of course, we've always said that we should always put policies first and take the personality completely out of that. So I'm looking for that margin to increase a little bit on President Trump the next time a credible poll is actually given out. And if you want to look at a head-to-head battle, I know Nikki Haley likes to say that she has a better chance of beating Joe Biden in the national head-to-head meeting. And of course, some polls would reflect that President Trump has a 10 to 12 point lead on Joe Biden head-to-head. So both sides claiming that they are the ones that can beat Joe Biden. Now, you can argue that one of the candidates, being President Trump, has a history, a track record on his policies as far as being in place to fix the problems that we have in America. And Nikki Haley simply is hedging her bets that she has the policy to do that. A lot of people talking about the economy. Obviously, one of the topics that people talk about often is the economy, and of course the economy is one of the top discussions for both sides. Now, just this past week, it looks like the Biden administration is starting to really promote the fact that this economy is not that bad at all, that energy prices have come down, food prices have come down, that Americans and consumer sentiment is actually quite high. That is not what we're seeing, and that's not obviously what we're hearing here out on the campaign trail. People are still very much concerned about the economy. So this looks like it's an attempt to essentially tell the American people that no matter how you're suffering, no matter how you're trying to pay the bills, no matter how you're trying to feed the kids and keep up with the rent and perhaps buy a house, because we know exactly what the interest rates have been like over the last 3 years. They're telling the American voter that all of those concerns that you have are not valid, that the economy is quite strong, and that you should be actually living your best life right now. And that is not simply what the reports are saying, and that's not certainly what we're not hearing. So the economy is very much a talking point. Now, President Trump loves to talk about the America First agenda in terms of the economy, and when you talk about America First, is doing just that. It's bringing jobs back to areas that have lost industry. Now, it's really one thing to mention, the city that we're in right now, Rochester, New Hampshire. I was talking to some locals earlier today, and they have suffered the effects of business moving out of here the last 15 to 20 years. There were some major Fortune 500 companies that had locations not far from here that a lot of people commuted into the Boston area or into these outlying areas of southern New Hampshire, and they said those jobs have gone away. They've gone overseas. So it has left a lot of people in this area unemployed, in which might actually lead into the reason why this part of the country has definitely per capita has a high opioid addiction rate per capita. So, you combination of a stagnant jobs, and then you've got some of the issues that are surrounding unemployment with that. So it all kind of goes back to the economy, and of course they have what you can consider a Republican governor. Technically, the reality of it is this governor is no more a Republican than Bernie Sanders is. So, but nevertheless, he is able to, he put his his endorsement, his influence behind Nikki Haley, and has also publicly claimed that if Trump is indeed the nominee, that he will endorse the president, which I think is some strong words. That he's not necessarily a never Trumper, but he simply will endorse Trump when the time is right. So when you look at this head-to-head polling, and I said this last night in our broadcast, I feel like many on the left know exactly what they're facing right now. Last night, President Trump threw a huge rally, pretty much a sold-out capacity rally with thousands and thousands of people in a basketball arena. Meanwhile, Ron DeSantis was in South Carolina, but Nikki Haley was in New Hampshire, and by the looks of some of her video, she was simply just in a local restaurant talking to a few people who pulled up a chair for a good listen. Now, you compare that to what we saw last night. And so you can look at all the polls you want, and they may reflect higher in some of them. They may reflect a little lower in others. But the reality is only President Trump can fill up an arena like he did last night, and even an opera house that he's in today. So it's absolutely clear right now where the bulk of the support is in New Hampshire. You've got a live look right now out of the Trump motorcade headed towards Rochester. And that's a great look that Matthew Alvarez and our camera operator is giving you right now out the window. And you get a good look. Now, it's interesting that when we go to events, and people always compliment us on our rally coverage and how we show the crowds and we show up to everything, which is great. But they like this extended coverage that we're giving you right now, and this behind-the-scenes look of what it's like to be in that Trump motorcade, and, of course, everything that builds up to that. So, once again, we are bringing you exclusive content right now, as that's a live look outside the window. Let's talk about our friends over at Tax Network USA. Now, it's the first of the year. If you haven't filed your taxes, you haven't, for whatever reason, you might want to get on that. But if one of the reasons why you haven't filed your taxes is because you owe back taxes, perhaps you haven't paid taxes in 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, no matter if you owe $1,000, $10,000, or $100,000, Tax Network USA can help you get out from under the burden of owing the IRS. They are not going to let up. They are hiring people to collect from you. But Tax Network USA has a team of professionals that are standing by to help you deal with all your tax issues. The information to get a hold of them, it's on your screen. Don't delay. Write it down. Get a little pen and paper. Write the number down. Write the information down. And when you're relaxed and you're ready to call them, and they'll walk you through it and look at your tax situation, and you'll end up saving on the amount that you owed. So they are the professionals. Check it out. Tax Network USA. One of the other issues that is on the campaign trail is the border. And I talked about this yesterday, how the urgency at the southern border is increasing. The numbers are increasing. The urgency to do something now is increasing. And it seems like if this would have been a post 9/11 error, and we would have saw all of the people coming across the border right after 9/11, I think we'd have military down there stopping them, because we would assume that these people had bad intentions of coming in this country to do harm to us post that traumatic and devastating day. But, we sit January of 2024, and it seems like the federal government, Joe Biden, Alejandro Mayorkas, and others don't seem to care about that open border, and they don't seem to care about securing it. And, of course, the Homeland Security hearing this past week, they've been obviously reviewing all of the violations that the Biden administration has done in terms of the border. And I think it's important to point out that those discussions, even some House Democrats that have districts around Texas, do feel the pain of an open border. They do seem like they are in step with Republicans in wanting to fix the border, maybe not in step with impeaching Mayorkas, which ultimately I think needs to happen. Accountability is important here. But there are Democrats in Texas and even in Arizona that want change on that border. They want it to be secure. They know exactly how it's impacting their congressional districts. So with that said, I anticipate a vote on January 31st in the Homeland Security as they do a markup. They're going to basically do a House vote on that. And once that passes, it's going to enter the House floor for a future vote by Congress. Now, I don't have a date for that right now, but as soon as we find out what that date would be, we'll certainly let you know. I was talking to Matt Gaetz last night about this and asked him point blank, do you think it's going to pass? Do we have enough Republicans in our conference to impeach Mayorkas? He thought we did. He thought there was a few holdouts, but obviously we were able to, through some persuasion of the realization that the border is out of control and that the constituents, if I was to ask people here in this room if indeed they'd want to impeach Alejandro Mayorkas, I can assure you that it would be overwhelming in support of that. So there were certain holdouts that said they didn't quite have the evidence there yet, and I would agree or disagree rather that we do have the evidence, and the numbers speak for themselves to be able to want to look at just the opioids that are coming across and the deaths per day. We're averaging about 300 fentanyl deaths a day, and that is all through a resort of an open southern border. So the border is such an issue. Doesn't matter if you are indeed up here in New Hampshire or down in Texas. The border definitely affects everyone on that. Even to the point where there's a Denver hospital, and I'm just kind of reading this that hit the news a couple of days ago. A Denver hospital is hitting critical point by immigrants, and they're only taking in immigrants. Now, this is a local hospital there in Denver have publicly said that they are unable to really accommodate many walk-ins to the hospital, that right now they're overwhelmed by the amount of immigrants that are seeking medical attention. Now, just the other night, I was flying from Des Moines, and I noticed a couple flights coming in, and the amount of immigrants that got off these planes, and I know they were immigrants because they've got the same black duffel bag, they've got the same kind of a pre-rolled sleeping bag in a clear container, and they've got paperwork in their hands, and they're getting off a plane, and maybe Des Moines was their final destination, or maybe they're headed somewhere else. But this is happening across our country every single day. And of course, Tucker Carlson had a great video where there's an airport in Chicago that his camera crew went around and basically found these makeshift little tent cities inside the airport to house hundreds of migrants, and he described the conditions as being quote, disgusting and smelly, and the fact that these people are able to have to live in this airport like that. So this is happening around the country, and so it's flooding our schools, it's flooding our hospitals, it's overflowing into airports, and we saw there in New York City as it was actually going into local hotels as well. So the numbers are staggering that we just don't have the place for them. And so this is something that we definitely is on a big agenda here in the Trump campaign. Also want to talk about freetrumpbook.com. We talk about getting gifts for someone in your family, especially kids. Truth be told, your kids aren't going to learn about the accomplishments of President Trump in school. They're not going to learn about it on the University of TikTok either, or the College of Instagram. It's just not going to happen. But you can learn about it in this wonderful Kids Guides to President Trump. It's absolutely free. The website, freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com. Just pay a slight fee for shipping and handling. This makes a great gift for someone in your family, a child, a neighbor, perhaps buy a couple for your church or your school. freetrumpbook.com. I'm going to step aside so you can kind of see the room a little bit. I described it earlier as a historic opera house. And I don't know, Gage, if you could shoot upstairs, if you do notice that the seats upstairs are tilted down. They're all sitting at an angle, which is pretty interesting. I want to also note that under each seat is a kind of a hanger. It's a little pin that pops out that you're able to hang your hat. And I think that's something that's pretty clever. And there's something that is very indicative of the time that this opera house was built. And it definitely is a great venue. We've had some great venues for these Trump rallies. We've had, airports, theaters, now opera houses. We've had some very unique opportunities to showcase some of the architecture in this country and some of the historic buildings. And this is this fits right in there. So we're happy to be here today. Just now joining us, 527, Brian Glenn, live here in Rochester, New Hampshire. Matthew Alvarez is on his way to this location. You should have perhaps a live look out the window of the Trump motorcade. I'm just reading some notes here, making sure on the timely basis. So we're on the ground with Trump. We're in here, and we're also going to try to put that camera in a different position inside this room to give you a nice aerial perspective of exactly where we're at right now as we bring this to you live tonight. Now, tomorrow we do have another rally for you. This one's kind of a late night start. It starts at 9 p.m. Eastern. Is President Trump's scheduled speech. We're going to go on a little bit earlier than that, I believe at 7:30, and bring a nice pre-show, but he is scheduled to speak at 9 p.m. tomorrow night. And then election night, we'll bring that to you live and in its entirety as we expect some results from tomorrow night to trickle in, or from Tuesday night rather, to trickle in after about a couple hours of the polls closing. We should have an indication of what those numbers look like. Okay, so we're going to, how you doing? I'd like to talk to some fans here. Are we ready to toss to the footage earlier of Matthew Alvarez? Let me set this up. From time to time, we have an opportunity to do something very special, and we're able to get in that Trump motorcade. As we've seen, we've been in New York, we've been in Atlanta, we've been across this country in D.C. With the president. Some of these stops, much stops around Iowa as well, many with the fair. This just chance we had an opportunity to be with President Trump as he's down at a campaign headquarters. Our own Matthew Alvarez was with them. This is what it looked like. Take a listen.
Right Side Broadcasting Network is in President Trump's motorcade right now as he is en route to his 5th New Hampshire campaign stop in just a week. Tonight, he'll be in Rochester, but prior to that, we're making an undisclosed stop right now, so we'll bring you that as it happens. We are in New Hampshire right now, and until then, as we know, other than President Trump's Rochester stop tonight, the big news of the day is out of Florida as Governor Ron DeSantis has officially dropped out of the race and has officially endorsed Donald Trump for president. So we'll see what 45 has to say about the man who President Trump says has been disloyal by even running against he and MAGA in the first place. As we are here in the Trump press van, we're going to be getting out of the van here, and we're going to see what happens as President Trump is making this surprise stop here at this area right now. Obviously, just authentic kind of coverage right now with Right Side Broadcasting Network as we walk in this direction with the press pool. And we'll be trying to hear what President Trump has to say about Ron DeSantis leaving the race for president. We're about 30 minutes from Manchester, 30 minutes north. Quite a quick trip up this way as we head into the campaign headquarters right now, as we take a live look, or a look right now at Trump 2024 Make America Great Again. These are the campaign headquarters in New Hampshire. As you know, he has a huge lead in New Hampshire, Nevada as well. And we hear some people right now chanting 4 more years. So let's take a live listen. Right over here to your right, sir.
4 more years. 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 Are you doing Matthew? USA! 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 We love Trump! We love Trump! We love Trump! We love Trump!
So President Trump in New Hampshire. You're watching Right Side Broadcasting Network. Of course, the big event tonight in Rochester.
We need Trump! 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 We need Trump!
So there's about 100 people in this room here for Team Trump as we get a little closer to the podium.
USA! 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 USA!
How are you, everybody? So you know we've been doing great. We're leading by a lot. And like record-setting stuff, that's the way we want it. We had the big day in Iowa, and we're going to have a big day in New Hampshire, I think equal to. And we just got some word that one of our opponents, very capable person, is dropping out of the race, Ron DeSantis. And Ron is dropping out, and he, in doing so, he endorsed us. And it's a little cold outside, but not too bad. Don't forget, in Iowa, 40 degrees below zero. This is like warm weather. This is very warm up here. It's beautiful. We love you. So what happens is very interesting because he's out as of 3 o'clock this afternoon with the endorsement. Without the endorsement, I think we would have gotten almost all of those votes because we have very similar policies: strong borders, great education, low taxes, things that very, very few regulations, as few as possible, things that she really doesn't talk about because she's a globalist. So I think most of those votes, and I guess the polls say that most of those votes, or certainly many of them, come to us, but we don't need them because the poll just came out, Suffolk just came out, Boston Globe, and they say we're very far ahead, like by many, 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 many points. So I don't think we're going to need that. And the main thing is we're going to all work together and we're going to defeat the worst president in the history of our country, the worst and most incompetent president in the history of our country. The world is blowing up. Take a look, the Middle East and Ukraine, the whole world is blowing up. And when I left, there was peace all over the world. As Viktor Orban said, bring back Trump immediately, get him back. You know who he is, right? Prime Minister of Hungary. He said, bring back Trump. Because since then, the whole world is blowing up, and we could end up in a World War III by the time these people finish. They have no idea what they're doing. But I did want to come over and say, you know, I'm making a big speech very shortly, and a couple of your leaders, but you're the real leaders, but a couple of your leaders said, do you think you could stop? There's some volunteers that are extraordinary. Could you possibly stop? I said, sure. Is it on our way? I said, is it on our way? They said, pretty close, about a half an hour. That's a lot. You know, a half an hour in Trump time, that's a hell of a lot, my man.
We love you.
So,
We love Trump! 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 We love
so
Trump!
I said, don't worry about it. Get that card, turn that sucker around, and let's go. We're going to say hello to the people. These are our friends. These people are here. And you've been here right from the beginning, and in many cases, you know, New Hampshire has a great history with me because we came into New Hampshire really wanting and needing a win in 2016, right? And we had that win, and that was a big win, and we won by over 20 points. And so I always have a warm spot in my heart. The governor's not exactly the best. I wouldn't rate him the best. He's super rhino, I would say. Yeah. Well, he actually, you know that he ran for, by the way, one of the great photographers of the world, right here, even though he works for the New York Times. That's his only thing. That's the only thing he's got going against him. I love him. Now, he's a man that, frankly, should have changed the voting systems. Think of it. Democrats are allowed to vote in a Republican primary. It's not going to matter, but they're allowed to vote. And already there are 4,000 or 5,000 people signed up. What is that all about? And independents are allowed to vote in a Republican primary. The whole thing is crazy, like just crazy. But it's good because you know what? We win anyway. We're going to win by a lot. It feels just like Iowa. We were hoping maybe 35, 36 points, and we ended up getting close to 53. And it was the biggest victory, Iowa, the biggest victory in the history of the deal. And I guess it goes back, they don't even know how far it goes back, like into the early 70s. And this was the biggest victory. I think we're going to have the same kind of a thing here. I really do. It feels the same to me. We're leading by a lot, but we'll end up with records. And again, I'm not even concerned with all the Democrats that are going to vote. Remember, they're going to vote for her because they want to run against her. They are the party of disinformation and misinformation. They're slightly different. It's a very fine difference. I won't explain it to you right now. It's very boring, but it's close enough. And they will always say, oh, we want to run against Trump. But they don't want to run against me. They ran against me in 2016. They said, we want to run against Trump. How did that work out? Not too good for them. And frankly, we did much better in 2020. And now we're going to do better than we ever did because the spirit, and now we've gotten to see how they can destroy a country. Before we didn't know that to the extent. But they've destroyed. They're destroying our country, almost destroyed. But we're going to save it. Yes. We're going to save it. And we're going to have the strongest border you've ever seen. We had the best border in the history of our country. Now we have the worst border in the history of the world. Think of it. And we're going to do things that are fantastic. Another thing we're going to do, drill, baby, drill. We're going to get your energy costs. You know, in New Hampshire, the highest energy costs in the whole nation by far. I don't know what it is. It's your governor's fault. Honestly, it is. Do work deals, get energy, get it. We had plenty of it. And now, and it has been that way always, it's for some reason. And you also have per capita just about the worst drug problem, and that's a shame. And I went around with your police department and your fire department over the years, and they're unbelievable, the job they do. The job they do is unbelievable. I mean, so much of it is drug related. They save people's lives to an extent that you wouldn't believe possible. And so we owe them, and I owe you because you have brought me so far. And literally, almost everybody in this room, other than the very young ones, they've been with me right from the beginning. 2015 and 2016 stuff, right? So I just want to thank everybody. And if you don't mind, I got to make a speech because I'm going to be a little bit late. We have a big crowd. Did you see the crowd we had yesterday? We took an arena, we broke the record, we took an arena, it was so packed, there wasn't a seat, and then outside we're trying to get people in. The biggest they've ever had, and here's how the news reported it. They had a reasonable number of people. It was like ho-hum. I remember when Bernie Sanders used to have 2,000 people. They said, this crowd is unbelievable. This is the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen. And I'd be down the road, we'd have 25,000, 30,000 people. They wouldn't even mention it. I said, this is something wrong. That was at the beginning. I said, this is something wrong with this fake news stuff. So we developed the name Fake News, and it seems to have stuck. Because right now the media is rated lower than Congress. And I would say that was something nobody thought could happen, right, my friend? So thank you all very much. Big day. We have a big day. I'll be back tomorrow. I go in for a Biden trial. I call them the Biden trial. Zero Biden. They've weaponized government. So I'm going to make my speech, and I'm going to go to New York. I'm going to spend time in the morning in New York. Then I'm coming back here. And people say, how the hell do you do it? But that's what they want to do. They want to exhaust you, both from a dollar standpoint and physically, but we don't get it. Do we get exhausted? No. What they've done is they've weaponized the Department of Justice at a level. I have 7 lawsuits. Every single one of them is related to the Department of Justice. Take a look at Fani. Fani. It's not Fanny. It's supposed to be Fanny, F-A-N-I. Because no you. Think of it. So Fani, and she pays a boyfriend like close to $1 million out of the coffers of Georgia. You ever see anything like this one? But here's the thing. They spent much time at the White House figuring out how to indict the former president of the United States, 45th president, who just recently got 70, think of it, who just recently got 75 million votes, the most in history for a sitting president. So there's when you'd say, oh, that's not involved. They're all involved, including civil ones, and including the AGs and the DAs, all Democrats, all Democrat judges. Now think of the timing. We have our vote the day after tomorrow, and I go to court tomorrow. This is all planned. And they want to rush it, but I said, why didn't you bring the case 3 years ago? Because they had no case. This is all bad stuff. And the truth is, I don't believe I'd be up. I mean, we're up numbers that nobody's ever been up. I really believe that they have so overplayed their hand that it actually helped us from this standpoint. It's a very bad precedent, however. It's a country killer. What they're doing is a country killer. And Joe Biden, who maybe doesn't even know what's happening, because he's surrounded by communists and fascists, young, smart, vicious. He's got a woman running the Department of Justice, Lisa Monaco. I think she's really running it. She's friends with a guy named Andrew Weissman, who's been, for years, failing against me. For years. I've been fighting these people off for years. These are bad people that hate our country. So I'm going to go make a speech, and I'll be back tomorrow afternoon. And we are going to have some fun, and we are going to have the biggest victory we've ever had. I believe the biggest victory we've ever had. And I just want to thank everybody. Look, we have some really young ones are starting.
We're praying for you.
But I want to thank you, and I'm praying for you too. And we're all praying because you know what? We're close to World War III. These incompetent fools will start World War III. And you know, 10 months sounds like a short period of time. They can do damage. Look what they've done to our country at the border. Look what millions of people are flowing into our country from prisons, from jails, from mental institutions. I love you all. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you,
President Trump, will you be using the name Ron DeSanctimonious tonight? The fact
it's retired.
Okay.
He just said, will I be using the name Ron DeSanctimonious? I said, that name is officially retired.
Thank you, sir. Well, there you go, President Trump. Right there, answering that quick question I had about Ron DeSanctimonious. I mean, that's the one I wanted to know, and that's the one that we got right there. So a great time. We're going to have to get back into the press van. President Trump giving Right Side Broadcasting Network that exclusive soundbite right there that we will be, of course, showing you tonight as well. Looking for my camera guy. He's probably up there closer to President Trump right now, or maybe he has left. I'm not sure where he's at, so I'll just follow the press team at this point on the way out. So we'll get going this way, as we just heard from President Trump that Ron DeSanctimonious is retired. That name is no longer what President Trump will use. So tonight we'll hear that, of course, on stage in Rochester. Pretty good stuff here in New Hampshire. President Trump leading in the polls, doing a great job in this state, in the Granite State. Obviously kicked some serious butt in Iowa, and we'll see what he does as we head towards Rochester and we head back to the press van here with the Trump team. Once again, this is Right Side Broadcasting Network. Always great to have this kind of footage that you just really don't get, especially at the mainstream networks. They wouldn't want to cover something like this because obviously they have been hiding the truth for years, but now it's time for the truth to prevail, and we know the truth will set you free. All right, let's send it back to our coverage right now in Rochester. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's send it back to you.
All right, welcome back. We're live here in Rochester, New Hampshire, and we'll take a listen to some of the pre-program that's already in progress.
This is America First, and let's take back this country. Let's make America great again. Thank you all so much. Thank you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Team Trump New Hampshire co-chair, Lou Gargiulo.
Welcome, patriots, to Rochester, to this historic opera house. We have 48 more hours before the votes are counted. And the time is now to come together and do what needs to be done in those last 48 hours. We need everybody's involvement. The forces of evil, like was spoken about earlier, are up against us. And we are the people who can bring back the American dream led by Donald J. Trump. I want you to all reflect upon what happened prior to COVID. The economy was raging, fantastic. Interest rates were low. Food prices were under control. Oil prices for us, those of us in New Hampshire who heat with oil, were $2.10. They're eclipsing now $5 a gallon. Do you want that for your life? Then what are you going to do to help make Trump our next president? What I ask from you, please don't take for granted. We had a great day today. As most of you know, one of our opponents dropped out. And endorsed the president. How can that be? But please, don't take for granted. There are a lot of forces out there, including our governor, who's doing everything in his power to destroy our dream. You're the people here who can change that. This is what I ask from you. We need people at all of the polls holding signs. People need to see the support the president has. We also need people out there calling your friends and relatives. Give them rides to the polls. Get them engaged. Bring them. Don't take for granted people are going to vote. The people in this room, the patriots here, are very engaged, but not everybody is. You're the people who can engage them. So I ask you, please do that. Please recognize how important this is. People have spoken about where we are in the country. Things like critical race theory and things like gender and all of the other stuff that have been going on that makes absolutely no sense. As I say to people, we talk about things that if any of us ever talked about 5 years ago, people would think we're crazy. We're going to change little children's sexual identity? Give me a break. We're going to strip away parents' rights? Is that possible? Never. But that's what's happened. The time has come now. We are the people to change it. And each one and every one of you can be part of this army to change the direction, change the paradigm, and help President Trump make America great again. So please, don't forget my words tonight. On Tuesday, get anybody and everybody who can vote and get them to the polls. Get on the phone. Call your friends. Call your relatives. Call anybody you can. That's what the Democrats do. We have to do the same thing. We can't take for granted. We have to fight, fight, fight. This is your children, your grandchildren. Their whole lives are at stake here. And we're the people here today who can make that difference. And it takes an army, and we have an army. We have an army of patriots across the country who are sick and tired of the direction of the country, and we're all part of that army. Now, please, don't take for granted and make it happen. I ask that of you. Thank you all for coming out on this cold January night. God bless you all. God bless America, and may Trump win on Tuesday with record numbers. Thank you.
Up looks like some of the pre-program here in Rochester, New Hampshire. Thanks for joining us. Earlier to this, you got a sneak peek of what it was like to be in the Trump motorcade as he made a stop towards one of the campaign headquarters there. And of course, what a fired up crowd we have here tonight. And I said this the other night, and I'll say it again. It seems like every time we come to New Hampshire, the crowd is absolutely amazing. We're glad you're joining us. It's 5:52, 8 minutes before the top of the hour. Our own Matthew Alvarez, I believe, is in the process of getting in position inside this historic opera house, and he made one of the speakers alluded to it earlier of how wonderful it is to bring this America First MAGA movement here to New Hampshire, especially here in this facility. And of course, I've always said that this seems like their motto here, the live free or die, is one of these things that they have absolutely embraced. And when it comes to being vocal about the Constitution and protecting our country and America First and getting rid of the globalist mentality, I have really experienced that this state never disappoints. Also, might be a good time to get your hands on this Trumpinator. Gotta love these things. Every time we talk about it on the air, well, they just about sell out. Now's the opportunity to put one of those in your hand, put it in your home, your house, your car, give it to a friend, give it to a neighbor, give it to somebody at church. The Trumpinator. Information for that is on your screen. And we are, solid made. Nice construction on that thing. Just looks sharp. Go check it out. Go order one, go order two. Don't forget to put that promo code RSBN there for the Trumpinator Bobblehead. Okay, some of the things they've been talking about, obviously, is earlier today, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis dropping out of this race and announcing, and did it really in a short video that he posted up on X, and I'm just going to paraphrase a little bit about that. Rather, thought it was time that there was no path for victory and didn't want to mislead the donors, mislead his volunteers on the ground, and that if there was no path for victory, then he thought it was time to get out of the race and put his support behind President Trump. And I was just reading a statement from President Trump that he pushed out on an email, and I would imagine that's probably on the Truth Social page as well, how he is honored to have the endorsement of Ron DeSantis, as all Republicans before him is very honored to have the support of their prior competitors. And so now we're going to move on and face crooked Joe Biden in the national head-to-head. So, but before that, we've got to still deal with Nikki Haley, who is still in the race. Now, the latest polling for her here in New Hampshire was around 32% of the vote. Trump coming in at about 52%. So she's got a sizable lead on that. Now, whether or not those DeSantis supporters move over to Trump and kind of boost those numbers up, well, I guess we'll have to see the next time one of those polls are released. Governor Sununu here in New Hampshire has vocally supported Nikki Haley and has, really been a kind of an anti-Trumper for a long time. But although he did say recently on CNN that if, in fact, President Trump was the nominee for the Republican Party, that he would get behind him and pledge his support. So that is actually bright news, I guess you could say, that if, we will eventually get the endorsements. But I think it's really interesting to point out that, and this is just my take on this, President Trump's endorsement, if you're a candidate, is everything. It means a lot. It means that not only have you been vetted by, the creator of Make America Great Again, this America First movement. So it means a lot. It can really make the difference between a win and a loss in whatever race that you're in. But for having someone endorse Trump, in my opinion, is less impactful. Because as a Trump supporter, and many here in this room would probably agree with you, that we don't really care who gets behind Trump and supports him. We know exactly what the policies will do and how they could solve so many problems. So having another elected official throw an endorsement towards you doesn't have as much weight as President Trump throwing an endorsement on that candidate. That makes or breaks an election, not necessarily President Trump getting an endorsement from another competitor. But that's just my personal opinion. If you disagree with me, feel free to drop me a line on any one of my social media outlets. I do respond to a lot of the questions that you guys have about things I say during the broadcast. You can email me as well. I respond to those emails as I did yesterday. I made a comment about if you lived in California or you lived in any state that you didn't like the way things were going, that you could simply just, move to a red state. And as one of our viewers wrote me an email and laid it out crystal clear, that not everybody has the option to do that for medical reasons or financial reasons, and that's something that I need to consider. And then I started thinking about, well, if all the patriots fled blue states, or even some states that could be purple in certain regards, then that's essentially giving up on trying to save those states. And so I kind of walked that back. And I feel like we should all stay where we're at and fight for this country, where no matter where you live, and hopefully through your fight and your neighbor's fight, we can certainly turn things around. So I don't want to bail on, you don't jump necessarily the house when it's on fire. You try to put out the fire and rebuild there. But do drop me a line if you want to get my thoughts on something. You can follow me on social media at Brian Glenn TV. You can drop me a line on X, Facebook, Instagram, on Truth Social, at Brian on Truth Social. I'll step aside and let you take a look at this crowd. We got a packed house. Matter of fact, they're no longer allowing people in the room here, and so that's certainly probably a good thing. We know that it's been very consistent with every time President Trump does some type of event, they sell out, no matter what the size is. I remind everybody to please go to our website, rsbnetwork.com/donate. One of the reasons why we are able to bring you all of this wall-to-wall coverage, no matter where we're at in the country, is through the generosity of our viewers. And so We've come a long way since 2016, and when we watched President Trump come down the escalator and chose to provide a platform that would cover his support and cover the things that the mainstream media simply ignored. And that was the crowds, and that was the energy behind the America First movement. So I just want to let you guys know that we appreciate all of the donations, and we're in this for you. We're in this for our viewers. We're in this for our supporters. We're in this for America. So if you feel led to give, you can simply do that. It's safe and secure. Just go to rsbnetwork.com/donate. rsbnetwork.com/donate. And I would love to rest assured that we are appreciative of your donation, and that we are certainly very gracious of what you've enabled us to do over the last several years. So rsbnetwork.com, rsbnetwork.com. And if you want to drop me an email, it's easy. And yes, I will read your emails. My email is brian.glenn, brian.glenn, GLENN, at rsbn.tv. Brian.glenn at rsbn.tv. If you want to follow me as well, shoot me a direct message on Instagram, on X, on Facebook. You may do so as well. Follow me on True Social, as that's another place that we put stuff out. You can also follow us on Locals, because Locals has been one of these platforms, and especially as we get deeper into the election coverage, Locals is going to be one of those platforms. You're going to see a lot of behind-the-scenes footage. So I encourage you to sign up for Locals. It's very inexpensive. Subscribe to the Locals. Get the content. It's certainly something that could be very valuable as we move into further in this election season. If you're just now joining us, 6:02, top of the hour, we're live here in Rochester, New Hampshire, waiting for President Trump to speak. He's scheduled at 7 p.m. Perhaps we will get remarks from the president, perhaps a little earlier than that. If you're doing the math at home, I'll do it for you. If you're not, we need 1215 delegates to win the GOP. So we need 1,215 delegates to win the GOP. We're just into the second one now, being a primary on Tuesday. And of course, from here, we go to Nevada, and we talked about that. Guys in the studio, do we have the segment I did with Christina Bobb laying out all of the details on Nevada? If you guys could re-rack that for me, I'm going to toss it out here in a few minutes, as I think it's important, because I did get some social media questions on that. Christina Bobb and I got together to kind of lay out all the things you need to know about the caucus coming up. We got a lot of emails from viewers with some concerns, and we talked about them there. Take a listen. Everyone, Brian Glenn from Right Side Broadcasting, and we wanted to come on here real quick and talk about Nevada. Now, we've been getting emails from viewers like you claiming they do not see Donald J. Trump's name on the Nevada primary ballot. And so a lot of people are claiming, what's going on in Nevada? Are they trying to keep him off the ballot? Are they trying to block him from being the GOP nominee? Well, we want to get all the facts. To that, we turn to Trump attorney from Save America and our own Christina Bobb joining me to talk about Nevada, and we're going to set the record straight about this meaningless primary that's in Nevada. Let's talk about that. A lot of people may not know there's a primary, but there's also a caucus. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And you're perfect to say it's a meaningless primary. It is a meaningless primary, which is why Donald Trump's name is not on that ballot, as well as Ron DeSantis. If you are a Trump voter, if you want to support Donald Trump for the early state of Nevada, you must go to the caucus on February 8th. There is a primary. It is a meaningless primary that was created as a result of the leftist Democrats in the Nevada state who were embarrassed when Bernie Sanders embarrassed Joe Biden in 2020. They wanted to remove the process from a caucus into a primary, ironically, so that they could control the outcome a little bit better. That's what it looks like anyway. But the Republicans did not migrate over to a primary process. They have maintained the caucus process. All of the delegates for the Republican Party are awarded through the caucus. The candidates have to pick whether they want to be part of the caucus or whether they want to be part of the primary. So any serious candidate who actually wants to win those delegates chose to be part of the caucus, which Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis both chose to be part of the caucus, which is why their names are not on the ballot. So if you want to support Donald Trump, ignore the primary ballot. It has nothing to do with Donald Trump or actually winning the Nevada caucus, and make sure you go to your precinct to caucus for Donald Trump on February 8th.
It's interesting to note that President Trump won the Nevada caucus back in 2016, and it's all about controlling the narrative, and it's nothing more than a publicity play here, because Nikki Haley can go into the primary, win it, and of course the mainstream media will push out the narrative, and there'll be social media clips that Haley dominated Nevada, further looking like she's got the momentum going into South Carolina, but by not being on the caucus where the actual delegates matter, it does show a little bit of weakness in her not willing to fight for those actual delegates, but taking the lower path of just getting the social media praise of winning the primary, which is meaningless.
You're exactly right. Democrats removed the process from a caucus process to the primary because they wanted to control the outcome. Republicans in the state rejected it. Republicans say we want it to be a caucus. We want it to be, really from the party and the voters getting together to make this decision. And Nikki Haley gave a nod to her Democrat colleagues, saying that she would play their game and play the primary game, which should be concerning for anybody concerned about election integrity, because it means she trusts the election process better than the caucus process, which any conservative these days I would think would laugh at that. That's a laughable idea. But the reason they switched it was because it's more controllable. It's easier for them to control the outcome of an election than it is a caucus. You're exactly right to say that this really is a publicity stunt. And I think it's a disinformation campaign really from Democrats. And we see a lot of disinformation coming out about this, about if you want to vote Republican, vote in the primary. And it's simply not true. The delegates are awarded in the caucus 2 days later, February 8th. The primary is February 6th. If you want to figure out where your precinct is, you can go to nv.donaldjtrump.com. It's like Nevada, nv.donaldjtrump.com, and figure out where your caucus is, where your precinct is, and make sure you show up and be part of the process.
And if you're thinking about, election integrity, very much like the Iowa caucus, the Nevada caucus does do a paper ballot. They meet in these small groups. They count the ballots right there in front of everyone. They have a total that night, typically a few hours after the close of the caucus. So it's a safe and secure way to cast your ballot. And I think that's what people learned in Iowa as we knew the results at about an hour and 30 minutes into Iowa.
That's exactly right. Imagine that. Republicans wanting paper ballots, same day counting, results displayed in front of everybody. The process is open so people can watch it. It's very transparent. Imagine that it actually works for Republicans and they don't want to change that process. If you want to be a part of the process, show up at your precinct. It's from 5 to 7 p.m. on February 8th. And get out, be a part of the process, and help support Donald Trump.
And it's interesting to note they've been doing this since 1981, so they've been doing it for a while. But many of you that might have just moved to the state are a little confused when they got the ballot in the mail and didn't see Trump's name on it. So I think it's important that we clarify all of that right now. And rest assured, if you want to cast your vote for President Trump, you do that in the caucus on February 8th. Christine and Bob, it's always a pleasure. I can't wait to get you back out on the road. And stay warm down there in South Florida right now.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. We're back out here live. I was just off camera talking to someone that has been fighting for a lot of the J6ers that are being locked up and or have been locked up. And she told me with a story about her nephew that had just gotten out and some of the conditions that he experienced in the D.C. gulag. And it was horrifying, and just sorry if that got my attention. But she just told me also of another woman who just got sentenced to 5 years in prison for breaking a window. That's all. Never was violent with anyone. Broke a window at the Capitol. No prior criminal record at all. The first offense, breaking a window at the Capitol and getting 5 years. Let me step aside as the crowd. Oh! Shooting for a hype video, which is nice. But it just makes you think, you know, and we've seen this. We've seen a lot of these hearings about January 6th and the conditions of the ones that are in jail right now, and some of the ridiculous stories of the charges that are brought to some of these people, and just how it seems like, you know, when is this going to end? It's just really it's just disheartening to hear some of these stories, and I want to definitely take the information she just gave me. I'm sorry? I was just talking off camera. I want to make sure that we take some of this information and we pass it along to the right people in Congress, and so perhaps they can make a difference. Do want to talk about the free Trump book. You can make a difference with somebody in your life by ordering this book. Now, it's going to lay out all the accomplishments of President Trump, and it's not going to hold back. It's going to tell you what he did, let your kids know what he did, and also makes for a great gift for someone in your life. Go to freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com. You got to pay a shipping and handling fee, but it's definitely something you want to give to someone in your family, your church, your school. Go check it out with freetrumpbook.com. It's 6:12 here, and this is one of those situations that we're waiting for the president to make some remarks. Now, we saw some earlier footage of Matthew Alvarez on the ground with the president at the campaign headquarters, one of the locations here in New Hampshire, and was able to deliver a few remarks to the crowd there. And Matthew asked him, are you planning on retiring? The term sanctimonious, and I think the president agreed that it's time to finally retire that very famous nickname that he has given Ron DeSantis. But we are seeing a lot of buzz on social media. Obviously, it tends to be one of the biggest stories. I was just kind of glancing at some other networks here in the room, looking at their monitors of kind of what they're watching right now, and it seems like everyone is tuning in and talking about DeSantis dropping out. And I think it was a surprise to most of us that we thought, obviously, this is only the second opportunity for people to vote, but I think due to the fact that his numbers were so low and was not expecting to have a good showing here in New Hampshire, and then we'd go on to Nevada there, where President Trump definitely is really running up the poll numbers there, and then we turn over to South Carolina, and of course President Trump's numbers are good there. So Ron DeSantis thinking that it's time to step away from the campaign, and there was not a path for victory there, and really out of respect to his followers and his donors, that he thought that was the best thing to do, and quickly put his support behind President Trump. And many of the supporters of Ron DeSantis have always said, if there was a second, if you could vote for someone else other than Ron DeSantis, who would it be? And of course, overwhelming that his supporters are very much Trump supporters as well. So I do see them coming over. And the same question was asked to Trump supporters. If Trump was not on the ballot for whatever reason, who would your second choice be? And of course, they've said Ron DeSantis. And it's all about the policies that are in place. And the America First policies, there's only one person that can basically instill those policies, and that is President Trump. So that's exactly what the Trump team is looking to do. Just kind of going over some of the numbers right now that we're looking at time-wise tonight, rather. 7 o'clock, President Trump is scheduled to start his speech here. I do think, obviously, he is going to be met with a very energetic crowd. We've said that New Hampshire never disappoints every time we're here in this state. Also, some of the things, it's interesting to note that Joe Biden here in 2020 finished 5th in the primary. Think about that for a second. Joe Biden, the year that he got 81 million votes, finished 5th in the primary here. Now, what's also interesting to point out is how quickly some of the other candidates in that race just suddenly got overwhelmed by the amount of media attention, amount of media buys that Joe Biden had. I think Joe Biden had a stranglehold on the Democrat nomination before anyone even had a chance. And there is a gentleman named Dean Phillips, and last night I actually ran into somebody that works on his campaign. He is running for president against Joe Biden, but he's likely to get submarined, if you will, by Joe Biden. And it's like very much like we saw Hillary did to Bernie Sanders back in 2016. Bernie Sanders overwhelmingly had the support of many of the Democrat voters, a lot of the younger voters as well, but seemed to get pushed aside by the Hillary Clinton machine that is her political organization. So, you know, the very party that often refers to President Trump as a threat to democracy pays no attention to the actions of their own party that threaten their own democracy in terms of the election. Let me step aside, show the crowd real quick as we are getting ready. You know, we're known for showing the crowd. That's kind of how we got started. As you can see, it's packed. We got likely maybe 250 people in this small room downstairs, with probably another 100 or so people upstairs as well. Time to talk about our friends over at Tax Network USA. Now, if you haven't filed your taxes this year, don't worry. You still got some time. If you haven't filed your taxes in a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, well, you might want to call our friends over at Tax Network USA, as they are committed to eliminating the tax burden that's been placed upon you by unpaid taxes. And here's what's incredible is that you have the opportunity to clear all that up. You just got to reach out to the professionals on that. Tax Network USA. They've helped thousands of our customers get from under all of the tax burdens. The information for that is on your screen. Tax Network USA. What you're looking at right now is the balcony. Now notice how it's at an angle. And this is one of, well, I think this is the last non-hydraulic floors in the country. Now, this floor that we're on right now can adjust, go up and down. It can go to a more of a stadium seating type situation, or it can be laid flat like it kind of is now. It doesn't have hydraulic. It has an old-fashioned pulley system, and unfortunately that pulley system is behind us. But it's interesting to note that people upstairs are sitting at an angle. So Very interesting facility here in New Hampshire. One of the things that we hear a lot about on the campaign trail, and obviously President Trump talks about it, is the fact that under the Trump administration, we did not get into any new foreign wars. Something that did not happen. And of course, with the reckless withdrawal in Afghanistan, combined with the invasion, the conflict between Ukraine and Russia, and of course Russia invading Ukraine, which has put us into essentially a proxy war with Russia and sending billions of aid to Zelensky, and that is not something that is very popular amongst the base. Now, that has been kind of a tug-of-war in Congress in terms of the budget. And of course, Speaker Mike Johnson continues to negotiate the amount of money that we are still planning on sending Ukraine. And if you were to talk to anyone in here right now, I think they would overwhelmingly tell you that we should not be sending any more money to Ukraine, that we are essentially broke at this point. We have trillions in debt, and it's something that we don't need to get involved with any longer. One of the talking points that President Trump often uses, and I would imagine we'll hear it from him tonight, is that Nikki Haley will continue to involve us into a foreign war. I'm going to step aside. Looks like we got something over here. Oh, great flag. Front row Joe's showing up in the front, representing as I always do. But that's one of the things that President Trump talks about, is we will not get into any new foreign wars, and often says that the conflict that we're seeing in Ukraine would not have gone down if President Trump was still in office. That Putin simply would not have invaded Ukraine, and I think that he has often said that he has a solution to stop this war in Ukraine and bring through peace. And I think that's something that it's very interesting, because the Democrats used to be the party of peace. They used to be the party of anti-war, but it seems like now they are the party of war. And the fact that you can go down any major city, especially Washington, D.C., and you see the amount of Ukraine flags flying. Now, granted, you don't see it as much now as you did when it first started, but Democrats seem to really be in this promotion of banging the war drum, and President Trump has been against that. Now we turn our attention over to the conflict in the Middle East. That's conflict number 2 under Joe Biden's watch. And then we have this very interesting, step aside so you can shoot the other side of the room for it. You've got a situation where now we have Hamas on October 7th. We know exactly what happened there as well. President Biden has taken a stance, obviously, in support of Israel. And he's really lost touch with the extreme progressive, the base within the Democratic Party, who are calling to liberate Palestine, who basically are supporting the Hamas terrorists. They're supporting their efforts and have been calling to cease fire and to basically the signs that they have. I mean, it seems like every other weekend they're marching somewhere in our nation's capital. They call him Genocide Joe must gotta go, and it's all of the sound bites you're getting out of these movements is the fact that they do not plan on supporting Joe Biden in this next election. They simply will not throw their votes his way, and so I can't help but think that that is a good thing, obviously, because you've got a situation where you've got a very volatile situation in the Democratic Party already, and there seems to be their party is fractured behind the dismal approval ratings of Joe Biden within his party. Now you throw his performance ratings are low, but then you put this very much discontent in his participation in supporting Israel, so he's lost the progressives. So I think it's safe to say that we are seeing a very weakening Democratic Party in front of us, and really and none of things that I guess have come from any kind of blows from the Trump team. It's been kind of a self-inflicted decay of their own party because they are simply underperforming Americans. And you've seen the video in the inner cities where they interview people and they ask them, what is the one thing that you absolutely, would you vote for Joe Biden or Trump? And time again, the answer has been, I want to vote for President Trump. That Joe Biden has simply lost touch with the American people and even independents, and that might also be the reason why he is trending so much. Back in the studio, I want to see if we can re-rack Matthew Alvarez's a little bit of his time spent with the president. Now, often one of the things that we get to do the most is we get to spend time with President Trump on the campaign trail in the motorcade. We've gone to some very special events, very unique events with him. Earlier, Matthew Alvarez got to jump in the Trump motorcade and go to a campaign headquarters down in southern New Hampshire. And this is how it looked.
Welcome to the Right Side Broadcasting Network. We're not like the other media outlets out there that cut and edit what other people say. In 2015, we were created by our founder, Joe Seals, to cover President Donald J. Trump's speeches and rallies, to which we continue to do to this day. We've also covered important conservative events like CPAC, TPUSA, March for Life, and many other important events and hearings around the country. We were made for people like you, everyday Americans who are tired of the mainstream media, who are tired of being lied to, manipulated, and fed an agenda. Our goal here at Right Side Broadcasting is to allow you to see the truth, giving our correspondents and commentators a wide latitude to speak their minds. You won't find anything like this in the mainstream media. Your support through your donations, locals, and supporting our advertisers allows us to continue to cover important events around the country each and every day. So, from us here at Right Side Broadcasting, thank you for supporting us and the right side of history.
Parents and grandparents, the 2024 Kids Guide to President Trump is here, and it's free. As a bonus, your child gets a free issue of Everbright Kids Magazine and Activity Book, and a free video lesson. Order now at freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com.
What's up, guys? My name is Jaden Hurd, and I have a Christian show called Let It Be Heard, where we analyze culture and current events from a biblical perspective. I highly recommend you guys check us out. We now have episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And basically, what happens is we react to videos, we have talking points, we have on guests, and it's very exciting. Come check us out on Rumble on the RSBN channel. God bless you guys.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow, towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. I mean, this is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work. What a concept. I'm interrupting this commercial to let you know you can get our 6-piece My Towels, regular $69.98, now only $29.98. Or you can save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels, made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Also, we have bath sheets, bath towels, washcloths, hand towels, and so much more. And the best part, with your promo code, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all My Towels. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Right side. Route to his 5th Rochester, but we are in New Hampshire right now, and until then, as we know, other than President Trump's Rochester stop tonight, the big news of the day is out of Florida, as Governor Ron DeSantis has officially dropped out of the race and has officially endorsed Donald Trump for president. So we'll see what 45 has to say about the man who President Trump says has been disloyal by even running against he and MAGA in the first place. As we are here in the Trump press van, we're going to be getting out of the van here, and we're going to see what happens as President Trump is making this surprise stop here at this area right now. Obviously, just authentic kind of coverage right now with Right Side Broadcasting Network as we walk in this direction with the press pool, and we'll be trying to hear what President Trump has to say about Ron DeSantis leaving the race for president. We're about 30 minutes from Manchester, 30 minutes north. Quite a quick trip up this way as we head into the campaign headquarters right now, as we take a live look, or a look right now at Trump 2024, Make America Great Again. These are the campaign headquarters in New Hampshire. As you know, he has a huge lead in New Hampshire, Nevada as well. And we hear some people right now chanting 4 more years. So let's take a live listen. Straight over here to your right, sir.
4 more years, 4 more years, 4 more years, 4 more years, 4 more years. Are you doing it, Matthew? USA! 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 We love Trump! We love Trump! We love Trump! We love Trump!
So President Trump about to appear here at this Trump campaign headquarters in New Hampshire. You're watching Right Side Broadcasting Network. Of course, the big event tonight in Rochester.
We need Trump! 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 We need Trump!
So there's about 100 people in this room here for Team Trump as we get a little closer to the podium.
USA! 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 USA!
How are you, everybody? So you know we've been doing great. We're leading by a lot. And like record-setting stuff, that's the way we want it. We had the big day in Iowa, and we're going to have a big day in New Hampshire, I think equal to. And we just got some word that one of our opponents, very capable person, is dropping out of the race, Ron DeSantis. And Ron is dropping out, and in doing so, he endorsed us. And it's a little cold outside, but not too bad. Don't forget, in Iowa, 40 degrees below zero. This is like warm weather. This is very warm up here. It's beautiful.
We love you.
So what happens is very interesting because he's out as of 3 o'clock this afternoon with the endorsement. Without the endorsement, I think we would have gotten almost all of those votes because we have very similar policies: strong borders, great education, low taxes, things that very, very few regulations, as few as possible, things that she really doesn't talk about because she's a globalist. So I think most of those votes, and I guess the polls say that most of those votes, or certainly many of them, come to us, but we don't need them because the poll just came out, Suffolk just came out, Boston Globe, and they say we're very far ahead, like by many, 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 many points. So I don't think we're going to need that. And the main thing is we're going to all work together and we're going to defeat the worst president in the history of our country, the worst and most incompetent president in the history of our country. The world is blowing up. Take a look, the Middle East and Ukraine, the whole world is blowing up. And when I left, there was peace all over the world. As Viktor Orban said, bring back Trump immediately, get him back. You know who he is, right? Prime Minister of Hungary. He said, bring back Trump. Because since then, the whole world is blowing up, and we could end up in a World War III by the time these people finish. They have no idea what they're doing. But I did want to come over and say, you know, I'm making a big speech very shortly, and a couple of your leaders, but you're the real leaders, but a couple of your leaders said, do you think you could stop? There's some volunteers that are extraordinary. Could you possibly stop? I said, sure. Is it on our way? I said, is it on our way? They said, pretty close, about a half an hour. That's a lot. You know, a half an hour in Trump time, that's a hell of a lot, my man.
We love you.
So,
We love Trump. 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 We love Trump.
So I said, don't worry about it. Get that card, turn that sucker around, and let's go. We're going to say hello to the people. These are our friends. These people are there. And you've been here right from the beginning, and in many cases, you know, New Hampshire has a great history with me because we came into New Hampshire really wanting and needing a win in 2016, right? Yeah. And we had that win, and that was a big win, and we won by over 20 points. And so I always have a warm spot in my heart. The governor's not exactly the best. I wouldn't rate him the best. He's super rhino, I would say. Yeah. Well, he actually, you know that he ran for, by the way, one of the great photographers of the world, right here, even though he works for the New York Times. That's his only thing. That's the only thing he's got going against him. Hello, Bill. No, he's a man that, frankly, should have changed the voting systems. Think of it. Democrats are allowed to vote in a Republican primary. It's not going to matter, but they're allowed to vote. And already there are 4,000 or 5,000 people signed up. What is that all about? And independents are allowed to vote in a Republican primary. The whole thing is crazy, like just crazy. But it's good because you know what? We win anyway. We're going to win by a lot. It feels just like Iowa. We were hoping maybe 35, 36 points, and we ended up getting close to 53. And it was the biggest victory, Iowa, the biggest victory in the history of the deal. And I guess it goes back, they don't even know how far it goes back, like into the early 70s. And this was the biggest victory. I think we're going to have the same kind of a thing here. I really do. It feels the same to me. We're leading by a lot, but we'll end up with records. And again, I'm not even concerned with all the Democrats that are going to vote. Remember, they're going to vote for her because they want to run against her. They are the party of disinformation and misinformation. They're slightly different. There's a very fine difference. I won't explain it to you right now. It's very boring, but it's close enough. And they will always say, oh, we want to run against Trump. but they don't want to run against me. They ran against me in 2016. They said, we want to run against Trump. How did that work out? Not too good for them. And frankly, we did much better in 2020. And now we're going to do better than we ever did because the spirit, and now we've gotten to see how they can destroy a country. Before we didn't know that to the extent, but they've destroyed. They're destroying our country, almost destroyed, but we're going to save it. Yes. We're going to save it. And we're going to have the strongest border you've ever seen. We had the best border in the history of our country. Now we have the worst border in the history of the world. Think of it. And we're going to do things that are fantastic. Another thing we're going to do, drill, baby, drill. We're going to get your energy costs. You know, in New Hampshire, you have the highest energy costs in the whole nation by far. I don't know what it is. It's your governor's fault. Honestly, it is. The work deals, get energy, get it. We have plenty of it. And now, and it has been that way always, it's for some reason. And you also have per capita just about the worst drug problem, and that's a shame. And I went around with your police department and your fire department over the years, and they're unbelievable, the job they do. The job they do is unbelievable. I mean, so much of it is drug related. They save people's lives to an extent that you wouldn't believe possible. And so we owe them, and I owe you because you have brought me so far. And literally, almost everybody in this room, other than the very young ones, they've been with me right from the beginning. 2015 and 2016 stuff, right? So I just want to thank everybody. And if you don't mind, I got to make a speech because I'm going to be a little bit late. We have a big crowd. Did you see the crowd we had yesterday? We took an arena, we broke the record, we took an arena, it was so packed, there wasn't a seat, and then outside we're trying to get people in. The biggest they've ever had, and here's how the news reported it. Had a reasonable number of people. It was like ho-hum. I remember when Bernie Sanders used to have 2,000 people that said, this crowd is unbelievable. This is the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen. And I'd be down the road, we'd have 25,000, 30,000 people. They wouldn't even mention it. I said, this is something wrong. That was at the beginning. I said, this is something wrong with this fake news stuff. So we developed the name Fake News, and it seems to have stuck. Yeah. Because right now the media is rated lower than Congress. And I would say that was something nobody thought could happen, right, my friend? So thank you all very much. Big day. We have a big day. I'll be back tomorrow. I go in for a Biden trial. I call them the Biden trial. Zero Biden. They've weaponized government. So I'm going to make my speech, and I'm going to go to New York. I'm going to spend time in the morning in New York. Then I'm coming back here. And people say, how the hell do you do it? But that's what they want to do. They want to exhaust you, both from a dollar standpoint and physically, but we don't get it. Do we get exhausted? No. What they've done is they've weaponized the Department of Justice at a level. I have 7 lawsuits. Every single one of them is related to the Department of Justice. Take a look at Fani. Fani. It's not Fanny. It's supposed to be Fanny, F-A-N-I. Because no you. Think of it. So Fani, and she pays a boyfriend like close to $1 million out of the coffers of Georgia. You ever see anything like this one? But here's the thing. They spent much time at the White House figuring out how to indict the former president of the United States, 45th president, who just recently got 70, think of it, who just recently got 75 million votes, the most in history for a sitting president. So there's when you'd say, oh, that's not involved. They're all involved, including civil ones, and including the AGs and the DAs, all Democrats, all Democrat judges. Now think of the timing. We have our vote the day after tomorrow, and I go to court tomorrow. This is all planned. And they want to rush it, but I said, why didn't you bring the case 3 years ago? Because they had no case. This is all bad stuff. And the truth is, I don't believe I'd be up. I mean, we're up numbers that nobody's ever been up. Yeah. I really believe that they have so overplayed their hand that it actually helped us from this standpoint. It's a very bad precedent, however. It's a country killer. What they're doing is a country killer. And Joe Biden, who maybe doesn't even know what's happening, because he's surrounded by communists and fascists, young, smart, vicious. He's got a woman running the Department of Justice, Lisa Monaco. I think she's really running it. She's friends with a guy named Andrew Weissman, who's been for years failing against me. For years. I've been fighting these people off for years. These are bad people that hate our country. So I'm going to go make a speech, and I'll be back tomorrow afternoon, and we are going to have some fun, and we are going to have the biggest victory we've ever had. I believe the biggest victory we've ever had. And I just want to thank everybody. Look, we have some really young ones are starting.
We're praying for you.
But I want to thank you, and I'm praying for you too. And we're all praying because you know what? We're close to World War III. These incompetent fools will start World War III. And you know, 10 months sounds like a short period of time. They can do damage. Look what they've done to our country at the border. Look what millions of people are flowing into our country from prisons, from jails, from mental institutions. I love you all. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
President Trump, will you be using the name Ron DeSanctimonious tonight?
It's retired.
Okay.
He just said, will I be using the name Ron DeSanctimonious? I said, that name is officially retired.
Thank you, sir. Well, there you go. President Trump. Right there, answering that quick question I had about Ron DeSanctimonious. I mean, that's the one I wanted to know, and that's the one that we got right there. So a great time. We're going to have to get back into the press van. President Trump giving Right Side Broadcasting Network that exclusive soundbite right there that we will be, of course, showing you tonight as well. Looking for my camera guy. He's probably up there closer to President Trump right now, or maybe he has left. I'm not sure where he's at, so I'll just follow the press team at this point on the way out. So I'll get going this way as we just heard from President Trump that Ron DeSanctimonious is retired. That name is no longer what President Trump will use. So tonight we'll hear that, of course, on stage in Rochester. Pretty good stuff here in New Hampshire. President Trump leading in the polls, doing a great job in this state, in the Granite State. Obviously kicked some serious butt in Iowa, and we'll see what he does as we head towards Rochester and we head back to the press van here with the Trump team. Once again, this is Right Side Broadcasting Network. Always great to have this kind of footage that you just really don't get, especially at the mainstream networks. They wouldn't want to cover something like this because obviously they have been hiding the truth for years. But now it's time for the truth to prevail, and we know the truth will set you free. All right, let's send it back to our coverage right now in Rochester. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's send it back to you.
Thank you, Matthew Alvarez, for that great report there on the ground with the president. We are moments away. It's about 6:48 here local time, scheduled to start at 7 o'clock. I will note that I'm seeing the click line. This is the line that's typically happens before the president walks out. He takes pictures with supporters and campaign volunteers as such, and that line is forming. So I have a feeling they're at least going through that line. We're going to get to a person who is running for governor here in New Hampshire here in just a second. But first, I do want to talk about our friends over at the Birch Gold Group. The economy is certainly something that we are all concerned about, especially as we go through this election season. Do not be caught off guard. Secure your financial freedom, secure what you've saved your entire life. Historically, gold, silver, precious metals has outperformed the indexes. Our friends over the Birch Gold Group want to send you a free information kit. It's as easy as texting the words Trump to 989898. Get that free information kit. And they'll also show you how to convert a traditional IRA into a gold-backed IRA. It's simple. It's easy. Save your money. Text the words Trump to 989898. That is the Birch Gold Group. I'm going to go ahead and bring in my next guest. Is actually running for governor here in New Hampshire, and hopefully that we make its way through here. Let's see, just 1 second, just a tad. Got somebody behind you. Thank you. How you doing? We're live on the air. Brian Glenn, Right Side Broadcasting Network. How you doing?
Great. Welcome to New Hampshire.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. First of all, let's tell our viewers your name, what you're running for, what you're currently doing right now.
I'm Chuck Morse. I'm the longest-serving Senate president in the state's history, and I'm running for governor.
Okay. Walk me through New Hampshire politics. It's a little different than a lot of states. You have a Republican governor, but some would say, and probably most would say in this room, that he's hardly a Republican, but kind of walk me through that. This is a very unique state, politically speaking.
Well, in New Hampshire, we also have a council right under the governor, so everything the governor does pretty much he has to run through the council. Obviously, we have one of the largest houses in the nation, or in the world, actually, 400, and then we have a pretty small Senate with 24.
Okay. How often you guys meet as far on the state side?
Well, we're in session from January through the end of June, and then anything else we have to do in the fall, so we'd come back to do.
What are some of the biggest concerns right now in New Hampshire? We've talked to thousands of people that live here. I will say this, in all due respect, your state tends to be the loudest state as far as a crowd goes that we cover. This whole live free or die motto, that you guys live and breathe by that. But walk me through, what are the biggest concerns of those that live in New Hampshire?
Well, first of all, we believe in the First in the Nation primaries. That's why people are all excited, and they go to every one of the campaigns they can. But the biggest thing that's happening in New Hampshire right now is people are nervous about the borders, north and south. We have problems here in New Hampshire on the Canadian border, and it's all about drugs.
Yeah, walk me through that, because I was brought up here recently, and I was not aware of how impactful that is to the communities here in New Hampshire. President Trump does say from time to time, per capita, you guys do have an opioid problem in this state. So you're telling me a lot of those drugs are flowing in from the northern border?
They're flowing in from the northern and the southern border. Remember, we have a lot of states that border us that come here to get their drugs. So I think the bigger deal here is we got to close those borders, and we have to make America safe again.
Talk about the economy. Everyone struggles. Inflation across the board. I would imagine the heating and cooling, the energy cost alone in this state is really putting a burden on New Hampshire.
Well, I think that's what people love to hear about Trump. He's going to help solve that problem. We have a huge problem here with energy. Gas prices, when they were down under $2, everybody was excited. But people forget, here in New Hampshire, we have to worry about oil, and we certainly need to do something about it. And bringing a pipeline through New York is an essential to get that price down.
Let's talk about your platform and what's one of your first agendas as we move forward into your personal campaign.
Yeah, we need to make New Hampshire safe, just like the president's going to make America safe. We need to drive down energy costs, and one of my biggest things is making sure we bring budgets in line, and we'll do that.
Let's talk about crime. People want to feel safe in their homes. They want to feel safe in their communities. What can we do about crime, and how has Governor Sununu perhaps not addressed the crime that's in our cities in this state?
Well, listen, President Trump has it right. If people are dealing drugs, they should be treated at the highest level of being a criminal. They're killing people. So I think what the president's talking about doing is what we need to do here in New Hampshire. We have to treat fentanyl sales as a crime that they're killing people.
Let's also talk about the border. The war in Ukraine. It seems to be a very unpopular thing with the base, this never-ending conveyor belt of money going to Ukraine. What's your stance on the war in Ukraine and how we should deal with that?
Well, I think President Trump had it right. We can control our energy policy here in the United States and in the world. And when we do that, these countries won't be making the money they're making now and financing the wars that they're financing right now. And he can shut that down immediately. And that's what he needs to do. And the people in New Hampshire are screaming to have that happen. Along with that, when the federal government's spending money, they ought to be as accountable as we are here in New Hampshire.
Good point.
And that's not happening.
That's not happening. A lot of people may not know that January of 2025, the Trump tax code sunsets. So whoever's in charge of Congress, whoever has a majority in January 2025, writes the new tax codes. none of us want new taxes. We don't want any higher taxes, but how important is it that we maintain the majority in the House to make sure that we're not paying any more taxes than we are right now?
Well, I think people do know that's coming in 2025 because here in New Hampshire, we fought pretty damn hard to lower our business taxes, get rid of the interest and dividends tax, and we certainly don't want those Trump taxes reversed because the people were thriving here because of what we've done in this state and because of what Trump did nationally. They want that to continue.
Yeah, I talked to a couple locals here before we came into the venue. They talked about the unemployment rate, and as big businesses have moved out of this state for whatever reason, what can we do to get big corporations to come reinvest in New Hampshire and bring those jobs back?
Well, remember, we are driving people here. We have immigration in New Hampshire. People are coming here because of the success stories that we built. We're the freest state in the nation. It took us 12 years to accomplish that, and that people are looking at that. They're bringing their businesses here. We expanded our highway system to get into the state. It worked, and we certainly are making the tax rates where businesses are looking at us. And along with that, we're going to bring good quality jobs here, and we're going to get young people to stay here.
Give us a little bit of idea of your background, how you got it politically involved and maybe come from the business world. For our viewers that may not know that much about you.
Yeah, I started out, I gave back to my community. You know, I did the Boys and Girls Club Board of Directors, the Nursing Home Board of Directors. But right away, people wanted me to get into politics. I didn't last too long in my local community because everybody asked me to get up to the state level. And the story went on from there where I served in the House and built the highway system. It took me 25 years, but I got it done. And I became Senate President when I moved on to the Senate. I've been the longest serving Senate President. I get $125 a year to do that job.
Don't spend it all in one place now.
Well, I think we do it because we're doing things for the right reason. And that's the difference. That's the difference between what we're doing here in New Hampshire and anyone that goes to Washington.
What was one of the first things that you really gravitated towards President Trump? What was one of the first things you really said, I like this guy?
Yeah, the fact that he's a businessman and he treats his decisions that way. When he got in 2016, that's how he ran this country, and that's what I liked about him.
How can people follow your campaign, follow you, and perhaps donate to your campaign to help you secure New Hampshire?
Chuck Morse for NewHampshire.com.
Chuck Morse. Sir, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
God bless.
It's gonna be a great night.
It is going to be a great night. Be careful as you make your way off the stage. Don't fall. There you go. Chuck Morse with spending a few minutes with us before the president comes on here. But, you know, this is one of those things. Let me just step out of the way and show the crowd. This is a state that's very passionate about their politics. They're passionate about their state, and they want change. They want to push back on a lot of these policies that has been implemented by this Biden administration. And it goes as simple as law and order and safety. Believe it or not, people genuinely, on a very basic level, want to feel like they are safe. They want to feel secure in their homes. They want to feel secure in the communities. They want to feel like they have a seat at the table when it comes to even their local politics. And that is something I think that the Biden administration has certainly made many people here disenfranchised to where they don't feel like this administration, this country, no longer supports their business, no longer supports their values, and that is something that is critical. You know, I'll point out that, you know, we talked about the COVID shutdowns that happened. And President Trump just said basically last night that Henry McMaster's of South Carolina was one of the greatest states that did not completely shut down. Of course, they were very cautious, like most leaders were, but for the most part kept their state open. Let's listen in. Little USA chant going on here. These people are fired up. But, you know, it's just been one of those things where shutting down businesses, wiping away generational wealth in terms of trying to keep our community safe by closing down the small businesses, then making sure that our kids couldn't even, for the most part, go to school, had to do this remote learning, which we now know the fallouts of this remote learning has been devastating. We've got many of our millions of our school kids are 2 years behind on their education, their reading level, their mathematics level. So the way states dealt with COVID, the way I say unconstitutionally shut down small businesses and forced businesses that had been in existence for 50, 60 years. They survived decades of economic turmoil and pullbacks and recessions and all of the other challenges in the business community, but was destroyed whenever our federal government said, guess what? You can't open your doors. You can't open your business. You must close the doors. And if you open your business, you risk being imprisoned. That's exactly what happened in this country. And people are not going to forget who did that and who pushed that narrative. And a lot of it was on Joe Biden's watch. And, of course, the radical left continue to push vaccines. They continue to push mandates that forced people to leave their jobs and forced early retirement. And we're starting to see a lot of the fallout on that in the aviation industry. The pilots were forced to retire that did not comply to these forced vaccinations. So it's just we went through some very, very difficult times through the COVID era, and I think we learned a lot. We learned what to do. We learned certainly what not to do. And I think this next election and this next administration, and I'm talking about the Trump administration, is going to make sure our freedoms and our liberties are protected the next time something like this is to happen. And of course, if you watch the news, I there's been stories about, Chinese doctors, experimenting with this gain of function that would essentially, basically what they do is they experiment with viruses in hopes to come up with a new vaccine to possibly treat future possible viruses. So if you look at that, you look at what, Anthony Fauci, who his time is ticking as well, as far as sitting in front of a committee and getting some type of accountability for what he did. His time is coming in terms of Congress and congressional oversight. But this next administration is not going to allow that to happen. If you look at what's going on with the World Health Organization and their massive overreach in being able to govern the next pandemic that happens, and they want control over how we react. So if you live in Opelika, Alabama, or you live in McKinney, Texas, or you live in they want Trump. Let's listen in. The chant is evident right now. But no matter where you live, we feel like the response and how you deal with your life should be dealt with somebody that's on a local level, not giving it up to any kind of World Health Organization, someone that lives, 6,000 miles away. The Trump administration will do just that, protect everyone's rights to your medical freedom and your health freedom. So that's what that is all about. I do see some of the press getting in position in what they call the buffer zone. That is the area behind the roped off banner that you see, the red, white, and blue banner. There is a buffer zone between that and the stage. I see some of the photographers getting in place. I also see some of the people that were in line to get a picture with President Trump. They're now making their way back to their seat, which makes me think that line is starting to go down. So it's 7:05 as we get a little closer to everything tonight. So we're glad you're joining us on this Sunday night. Don't forget, share, like, subscribe. Like us on all the fronts. On social media, you can follow me at Brian Glenn TV. Definitely follow us on X, Instagram, Facebook. Subscribe to us on Rumble. You can watch us on all the streaming platforms as we are making our way into the 2024 campaign season. This is just the second state on our list. We've got plenty more ahead. If you're take a look at the programming, we'll live tomorrow for a rally here in New Hampshire. And then on Tuesday night, we are live for election night here in New Hampshire. We've got a great show planned for that as well. Stay tuned. And then, of course, we're going to shift our attention next Sunday. I believe it's next Sunday. We're going to be heading to Las Vegas for a caucus event. Now, that's something that we played earlier. There is a difference between the caucus and the primary out there in Nevada. So if you got a ballot in the mail for the primary and you don't see President Trump's name on that ballot, do not panic. That was simply President Trump, nor did Ron DeSantis want to participate in that primary. It is a meaningless primary. You can go to our Rumble page. You can go to our social media page. Christina Bobb, myself. Christina Bobb, being an attorney for Save America, did a little informative piece that kind of gives you everything you need to know about that. So the caucus is where the actual votes for President Trump will be cast. So if you live in Nevada, make sure you show up for the caucus on February the 8th. And that is actually when the caucus will take place. I've been told that Carrie Lake will be making her way over to me here on the floor. I will be able to stay tuned for that. Letting some of our media partners know that I may have to make some room for her to get through here, as we have a very, very cramped headquarters up here on this bullnose. That's really prime position for everything like that. I think by the applause, I think she might be making her way down here to me. But we're glad you're joining us on this Sunday night, and we are always happy to have you. Don't forget you can watch us on our app. Go download our app. Go to your Android, your Apple Store, download. You can download our app, and while you're at our website as well, go to rsbnetwork.com and subscribe to our newsletter. It is a fantastic way to stay in touch with everything that we're doing. Grace Saldana, our editor-in-chief, does a fantastic job. Summer Lane, Alex Caldwell, and more contribute to this network by putting out the information that is most concerning to you. And I can't tell you how many times I have been out and about at a rally, and all of a sudden I have someone come up to me and say, look, I found out about this because of your newsletter. I was able to take advantage of a special offer because of your newsletter. That's exactly the benefits of subscribing. It's absolutely free. Go check it out. RSBNetwork.com. Click on subscribe and get it delivered to your inbox. And it's been, I think the really cool thing about it is we've seen President Trump often will retruth our articles, push them out, share them on Facebook. He'll even print them out and sign the articles and send them to our writers. So I know that he appreciates all of the Kerry Lake up there waving to the crowd. Telling her. Kerry Lake getting the crowd fired up here. Doing some press upstairs, so we'll see if it takes her a little bit of time to get down here. But sign up for that newsletter. It's absolutely free. It is one of those things that we really hold special that we are able to deliver to you. So thank you so much for subscribing to our newsletter. And while you're at the website, don't forget to donate as well. It's one of those things where the donations go a long way. We've got great partners in this network. We've got tremendous partners. We got the Birch Gold Group. They got the Trumpinator, which is one of my favorite partners that we have. It's a fun collectible bobblehead. We've got the free Trump book. Love the free Trump book. I've always said, one of my favorite things to say is you're not going to learn about the accomplishments of President Trump. But you can, in school, your kids aren't going to learn that. But you can get a nice informative book. So we've got great products and we have great things. But our number one product and the things we're most appreciative of is you, the viewer. We've been here. You guys have been with us since 2016, early on 2016. And the fact that you guys have donated to this network that's enabled us to cover just about everything. Everything related to listen in. Through your donations, we've been able to basically cover just about every single Trump event. We've been able to cover, Supreme Court issues, election integrity, post the 2020 election. So it's been through the generosity of you guys that we were able to do that. So if you feel led to give, you can simply go to rsbnetwork.com/donate, rsbnetwork.com/donate. Now, I also think it's interesting to note, as I step out here for a second, we look at the polling that President Trump has. Not only did he have a record-setting performance in Iowa, but then he's really set to perform 51, 52%, whatever, depending on whatever poll you look at here in New Hampshire. So when you take the DeSantis factor of him bowing out of the election, I can only assume that you are going to get that 6 to 7, 8% that he had, depending on what poll you look at, come over to him. So if you would add the two up, I think his margin only increases with a DeSantis dropout over Nikki Haley. And so we're going to find out what that effect looks like on Tuesday. But I used this analogy last night. And, we can look at polls, we can look at numbers, we can look at, what demo is trending which way. We can see what independents are feeling, how really solid MAGA supporters, how they're feeling. We can even find out what moderate Democrats who are willing to maybe cross party lines this election. We could take a look at those numbers as well. But what I'm looking at is the fact that President Trump can go into a 6,000, 7,000 person arena and fill it up. Nikki Haley goes to a restaurant, a small little bar and grill, if you will, and she may have 50 to 75, maybe 100 supporters in there. And it's more of an intimate setting, but I think it's an intimate setting because I truly feel that's about the extent of the amount of people that she could actually pull to an event. Think about this. Back in the 2020 election, while President Trump was having rallies around the country, putting 30, 40, 50,000 people outside, because remind you, we had COVID restrictions back in 2020 in the final election months where we could not gather inside for a rally, so they had to be outside. Many people wouldn't grant the permits through precautionary reasons for COVID, so we had to do these outside. Well, she was still pulling, President Trump was pulling 30, 40, 50,000 people, okay? Meanwhile, Joe Biden was still on the campaign trail when he crawled out of his basement, and he was doing rallies in a middle school gymnasium with maybe a dozen people standing in the middle of a hula hoop, all 6 feet apart, of course. But that was their rally. That was their momentum, and I truly think that style was nothing but an excuse to mask the fact that Joe Biden did not have the groundswell support that President Trump had in 2020. So they used those COVID guidelines to kind of mask the low support levels. Now go over to this now here, this election. It doesn't matter where President Trump goes. It doesn't even matter what day of the week it is. I used to have a theory that he was doing Friday, Saturday, Sunday rallies, and I thought, well, what does it look like on a Monday? Or really, what does it look like on a Sunday? But they mostly were just Friday, Saturdays. And then what I remember being in Nebraska, we had a rally on a Sunday afternoon. And if I'm not mistaken, we had some weather issues. It got pushed to Monday. And I thought, okay, it's a work week. It's a Monday. Surely, maybe a percentage of people would not be able to show up to right there. Wouldn't be able to show up to something like that, and they surely showed up time and time again. Looks like we have Carrie Lake coming in here. Make sure, is this mic good? All right, we'll make sure we get. All right. Join us live on the show. Oh my goodness.
I got a suck in my gut.
Well, we heard their applause, and I knew someone was upstairs. I had no idea who it was until I heard Carrie. We love you. Welcome to the show.
So
Welcome to New Hampshire.
Here. This crowd. Brian, this crowd. Look at these people.
It really is amazing.
Hey, everyone.
It's amazing.
You know what I see here? I see working men. I see working men who have families, who do everything right, who've done everything right, and they're tired of what's happening in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And that's why they love a fighter like Donald Trump. And I'm a little bit emotional. I didn't expect to have such energy in this building. We pulled up to an opera house, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
We get in here.
Oh, here we go.
The next president of the United States, President Donald J. Trump.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the
Thank you, New Hampshire. Thank you. Wow, what a crowd. You got a lot of people standing outside. Would you like to let them take your place? They cannot get in. We want to thank your fire department, actually. They've been great. We got a lot of people out there. That's like a poll, right? That's like a poll. So I just want to say a very special hello to New Hampshire. It's been a very important place for me. You remember 2016? We really had to come in here and win it, and we won it by 21 points. And the rest was history. We just went up and down the East Coast, through the Midwest we went through, and it was a beautiful thing to see. And I think even if you look at 2020, we did better in 2020 than 2016. I think that right now we have the highest level of enthusiasm that anybody's ever seen, ever, for a campaign. And the reason is they are so bad. They are destroying our country. We have the worst president in the history of our country, and he is destroying our country. I just told a very brilliant interviewer who might be right there. There he is, right there. Lawrence, come here for a second. Come here. Get over here. He gave me a killer interview. Now, I just said that the happiest person with Biden is Jimmy Carter, because Jimmy Carter, his administration was brilliant by comparison. Before we begin, I'd like to take time to congratulate Ron DeSantis and, of course, a really terrific person who I've gotten to know, his wife Casey, for having run a great campaign for president. He did. He ran a really good campaign, I will tell you. It's not easy. They think it's easy doing this stuff, right? It's not easy. But as you know, he left the campaign trail today at 3 p.m., and in so doing, he was very gracious, and he endorsed me, so I appreciate it. I appreciate that, and I also look forward to working with Ron and everybody else to defeat crooked Joe Biden. We will have to get him out. We have to get him out. He's put our country at great peril, So I just want to thank Ron and congratulate him on doing a very good job. It's a tough situation. It's a tough thing to do. I'm thrilled to be here in the home of the first in the nation primary. Do you know why you're first in the nation? Because of me. I kept you there, unlike Biden. I kept you there. First in the nation. That's right. And we're keeping you there. You know, the Democrats abandoned you. And they abandoned also a place, you know where else they abandoned, right? Huh? Iowa. And we did very well. Did we do well in Iowa? I think we're going to have the same. I think we're going to have the same kind of a result here as we did last week in Iowa. Iowa's great. They said, sir, it's a little bit cold tonight. I said, is it 40 below zero? They said, no, it's like about 10 degrees. I said, that's like warm. No, Iowa's great, and you're great. The whole country is great. You want to know the truth? They just need some help. Since 2016, you and I have been in this battle side by side, taking on the corrupt system. And it's a corrupt system. It's so corrupt. Every element practically is corrupt. It's sad to see. And who would know? And who would have ever brought it to your attention? And it's important that we do bring it to your attention, because that way we can fix it. We're going to fix it. The Washington swamp has done everything in its power to take away your voice, but this Tuesday, I believe the people of New Hampshire are going to speak loud and clear. Very loud. With your vote, you're going to send a message straight to crooked Joe Biden and his radical left thugs who weaponize the DOJ, and the fake news media has to get in line also, because they know exactly what's going on. Send them a signal that we are coming this November. That's why everybody has to get out. Don't believe the polls. Assume that we're down 1 instead of up 30 or whatever it was. We're up by a lot. But pretend you're down by 1, and you go out and you wake up your husband and you say, Harry, we're going to vote. I can't do it. I don't feel good. And just say, I don't care if you don't feel good or not. You're going to vote, Harry. You get him out there. Get your neighbors, get your family, get everybody. You got to vote, because we have to win by big margins. We have to let them know this is a movement. You know, this is the greatest movement in the history of politics in this country, and maybe beyond. I love when they say that MAGA, it's Make America Go. What do you think about Biden? MAGA is a threat. You know what MAGA is? Make America. He wouldn't know. If I said, what's MAGA, Joe? He wouldn't know. It's Make America Great Again. Make America Great Again, Joe. America first. It's America first. 2 days from now, we're going to win New Hampshire, and then we're going to defeat crooked Joe Biden, and we are going to, in fact, make America great again. Your vote in this primary is your personal chance to score the ultimate victory over the liars, cheaters, and frauds trying to destroy America. So this Tuesday, January 23rd, get every patriot, all of the patriots, the non-patriotic person, if you can get them to vote, let them vote too. Let them vote too. But get every patriot you know and turn out, because we want to set records. We're going to set records. The weather's going to be okay, meaning like about 10 degrees. No, it's actually the weather's going to be pretty good. All the information you need is at nh.donaldjtrump. Did you ever hear of him? .com. DonaldJTrump.com. As you know, here in New Hampshire, Nikki Haley has made an unholy alliance with rhinos, never Trumpers. Americans for No Prosperity. Did you ever hear of Americans for No Prosperity? I added the word no because that's essentially what they do. I was going to say America's for China prosperity. But they're no good. They're no good. They're headed up by bad people. Globalists, radical left communists, to get liberals and Biden supporters to vote for her in the Republican Party. Did you see who's voting for her? Democrats are voting. What kind of a governor do you have in this state where they allow Democrats, they've already got 5,000 signed up, but that's peanuts compared to the numbers we get. So. No, but they've already got, you had to be signed up by like October 7th. But think of it, Democrats to vote in the Republican primary. What kind of a governor would allow that? He is the most overrated governor, but not really, because most people don't think he's a very good governor, so he's not that. But you'll end up getting rid of him pretty quick. The people behind Nikki are pro-amnesty. Do you like that? Pro-China, pro-open borders, pro-war, pro-deep state, and they're pro-Biden. Did you see where 50% of the people that voted for her in Iowa are going to vote for Biden? In other words, they're Democrats. They're voting. Think of it. They're going to vote for Biden. They just had no choice, so they picked her. This is not what we want. Our movement is pro-borders, pro-jobs, pro-freedom, and 100% pro-America. Pro-America. We are the party And I think this is so important. We are the party of common sense. You know, people say, oh, you're conservative. No, I don't care. It's like, doesn't matter. We are the party of common sense. We want borders. We want low taxes. We want a strong military. We want to drill, baby, drill. We want to drill, baby, drill and bring down energy costs. Because your state, New Hampshire, has the highest energy costs in the entire country. Do you know that? And I am going to bring your energy costs down by 50% within 1 year. It'll be easy to do. It'll be easy to do. And it's been that way for a long time. Never made sense. But that's another governor thing. This governor, you got to get him out of there. He's a big Nicky guy, which makes sense. That made sense. When I heard that, you know, he ran for president, but he didn't run. He didn't have the guts to announce it. So he ran. He was trending around the Asa Hutchinson, you know. This guy ran. He was at 0 for a year. Then he hit, 2 months ago, he hit 1%. I said, that was like breaking news. He hit 1%, but the following month he was back to 0. Then he had 1 month where he was 0 with an arrow pointing to the left, meaning he was less. Guy ran for like a year. No, your governor wasn't much better, but in all fairness to Asa, your governor never had the guts to announce. He ran for president, but never announced because he didn't want to announce and have to take it back. So he just pretended like nothing happened. We're wise to him. The radical left Democrats are supporting Nikki for a very simple reason, because they know she's easy to beat. They came out with a poll 2 days ago where she's way down to Biden and I'm way up on Biden. And that's the way it is. She's unelectable. Nikki Haley wants to change the working class. So just think of this. So you have a nice working class, and they want to put a 23% national sales tax on everything that's purchased. Do you think that's good? How about, forget about middle class. How about poor people? They have to pay 23% when they buy something. While she raises, and she wants to do this, the Social Security retirement age by perhaps an extra 10 years, because she's talking about a certain life cycle. So you can labor until the day you die and then not collect a penny out of your benefits that you really are entitled to. We're not going to play with your Social Security, or we're not going to play with your Medicare. Remember that. You know, I know politicians well, because for my whole life, except for the last little while, I had the greatest life going. What the hell did I do? I got indicted more than Alphonse Capone. Can you believe it? Al Capone. If he had dinner with you, even these young ladies, it didn't matter to him. He was equal opportunity. If he had dinner with you, if he didn't like you, he'd kill you. You'd be dead. This guy got indicted less than me. Do you believe it? Because I say the election was rigged. Let me tell you. And it was. And we have all the proof you need, too. If you're lucky enough to live past the retirement age of 75, I guess they go by 75 under the Nikki Haley plan. She wants to gut Medicare using the Paul Ryan scheme. You know Paul Ryan, a rhino? Like the ultimate rhino. He destroys everything. He goes on boards, and the company hasn't done so well since he's done that. But Paul Ryan used to be Speaker of the House. Not a good one. He led the Democrat ads. You know, this was the ad, the granny off the cliff. They took his policy and they say, let's do an ad where we push granny off a cliff in a wheelchair. This was not a good ad for us. That was Paul Ryan. With your vote, it's campaign, and this is on Tuesday, you can declare that the Republican Party is never going back to the days of a weak establishment candidate. Candidates who preach cutting Medicare and Social Security at home while they spend trillions and trillions of dollars on really dumb, endless wars. They never end. They go on for 22 years, 24 years. We don't do that, do we? And we defeated ISIS in 4 months, right? Remember, it was supposed to take 4 years? 4 months. Because we have an incredible military. Not the people that are on television from the military. Not the people that are missing for 5 days, Secretary of Defense. Not the people that are missing. And he's running the war. You know, a couple of days ago, we have a new war going on in the Middle East. You see, we're dropping bombs all over the place again. You can do it with a telephone call and be much tougher, just if you know what you're doing. These guys are back into the war in the Middle East. Okay, it never ends, never ends. So we have a Secretary of Defense who's been missing, and now we find out he's been running the war from his laptop in a hospital bed. The laptop is on his stomach. I know exactly how it is. It's on his stomach, and he's running the war. This is not good, because this is the same group that ran the horrible, most embarrassing moment in the country's history, Afghanistan, where we lost soldiers, should have never been lost. None of this stuff would have happened. You know, none of this. I got it down to a point where we could get it. We had to get out. It was good, but I would have never let Bagram, that's the Air Force base, 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. It was so good for us. He left. You know who's occupying Bagram right now? China. They're occupying it. We lost soldiers. We left what's called now, we left American hostages. Okay. He looks like a nice person. But we're never going back. I miss that. You know, it doesn't happen very much. It used to happen all the time, right? These are misguided people. These are misguided people. We're never going back to the days of globalist rhinos who promised border security before the election. Remember that? Border security. We had the safest border in the history of our country, and now we have the most unsafe border in the history of the world. But they do the bidding for Wall Street. They want open borders after the election. You wait till you see what happens. We're going to win this election. We're going to have a great border. We're going to have more energy than you've ever had. And we're never going back. So if you want a losing candidate who puts America last, vote for Nikki Haley. But if you want a president who puts America first and did it successfully for 4 years, you know, I'm the only... Did you ever read the stat that I'm the first president that didn't go into and start a war? I finished some wars, like with ISIS. And remember when I was running against, and I don't use that nickname anymore because I gave it to Biden, Hillary. Beautiful, beautiful Hillary. Remember when? And she got up and she said, with his personality, we'll be starting wars. No. I finished wars. I took our people out. Surprising. And we won. With your support, we will soon be taking the oath of office on the steps of the United States Capitol, and we're going to have a whole different country. As soon as I lift my hand from the Bible as your 47th president, I will seal the border, shut down the invasion of millions and millions of people coming into our country, and we will start an energy revolution. We have more than anybody else. We're going to resume that drilling. What they've done, you know, look, what they've done to this country is not even believable, what they've done, especially when you look at the border. Things like Afghanistan, it was a surrender. That was a pure surrender. Horrible. I believe the lowest moment in the history. But what they've done to this country in so many ways, we're no longer respected. We have a man that can't put two sentences together, and he's negotiating with President Xi of China. With Putin, he's negotiating. Our country has never been in this danger, I'll tell you right now. And I'm talking about World War III type danger. We have never, ever had a situation like this. And the only reason the stock market's high, because they think we're going to win the election. That's the only reason. Because that will come crashing down if we don't. We will terminate every diversity, equity, and inclusion program across the entire federal government. And I will instruct the heads of ICE and Border Patrol to begin the largest deportation program in American history because it's not sustainable. 3 years ago, we had the most secure border in U.S. history. We built 561 miles of border wall. Remember with Mexico, they did so much. Remember? Mexico gave us 28,000 soldiers free of charge. I said, you must give them to us. They said, no. I said, you have to give them to us. They said, no. I said, you will. Don't worry about it. You will. They said, no, we're not. And then they sent their top negotiator, good negotiator, very handsome guy, nice guy, beautiful, looked like Cary Grant. But I said, we want 28,000 soldiers. He laughed at me. He said, oh, why would we do that? You're going to do it. I promise you're going to do it. No, we're not going to do it. Yes, you are. Then I said, also, we want catch and release in Mexico, not in the United States. You know, we have catch and release where we release them into the United States and nobody ever sees them again unless they murder somebody. So we catch and release. I said, I want it in Mexico. I want all of these things. I gave him a list of 10 things. Tom Homan gave me a list. Brandon Judd of Border Patrol. I took a list from the top 10 guys. I got every single one. They said, you'll never get it. A woman from the State Department said to me, sir, and she was very good, but she was a lousy negotiator. She said, sir, you'll never get this stuff. I'll get every one of them. I said, give me your top 10. I called it a top 10 list. And I went to Mexico, and they said, they came in to see me, they're top people. The president, I had a great relationship with him, actually, great. That's why he didn't want to negotiate with me. He wanted to keep it good. But, you know, they came in to see me, they're representatives, the one guy leading it, very highly respected guy. And I said, no, you're going to have to give us these 10 things. And they said, he actually thought I was kidding. And the person from the State Department said, sir, we've been asking for these things for 25 years. We'd never get one of them. I said, you'll get all 10. I said, you're going to get all 10. And she smiled. Okay, so then it goes along, and I want soldiers, I want protection. This way, we had the safest border in the history of our country. And Mexico gave us thousands and thousands of soldiers. And they're not as politically correct as our soldiers have to be. Like, ma'am, please don't cross the border. No, their soldiers, Pancho Villa. You ever hear of Pancho Villa with that thing and the bullets going across? They gave us the soldiers, and I said, no, we're going to do it. No, you're not. I said, here's what I'm doing. If you don't give us everything I want, I am signing a document. I had the document. I said, I'm signing it right now. It was Friday. I said, on Monday morning at 7 o'clock, everything that comes from Mexico into the United States is going to have a 25% tariff. And if you don't get it done within 1 month, it goes to 50%. Then it goes to 75, and then it goes to 100. And the same guy that said, I will never do this, sir, you have to be kidding. He thought I was kidding. I said, I'm not kidding. I don't kid, actually, you know. I don't kid. I said, what are you going to do? He said, sir, I'd like to take 5 minutes. Well, it took 5 minutes. He called the president of Mexico, came back in about 2 minutes. Sir, it would be our great honor to do every one of those things. It would be our great honor. It will be our great honor. So we have a policy, remain in Mexico. Now, how, you know, you don't have to be a total genius. Remain in Mexico until you've added and everything. We had hundreds of thousands of people in Tijuana. This was not a lovely place at that point. This was not a good place to take the family for a little trip. It was rough stuff. But you know what? They weren't in our country. And we do it right. We had such a great system. If Biden, instead of going to the beach and destroying everything, if he went to the beach and did nothing, just slept, you know, he goes to the beach because one of his consultants thinks he looks good in a bathing suit, you know? And he has a hard time with the feet in the sand. And he has a harder time lifting that, you know, those chairs, they're like about 8 ounces, right? They're made so that a child can lift them up for a grandfather to sleep in. And he can't lift it. But Secret Service did the job. They're great. Under Biden, the USA has been turned into a dumping ground and a disrespected one. We have, if you think about it, people coming in from all parts of the world, from parts unknown, speaking languages that people here have never even heard, and they're being dumped into our country. They're coming in from mental institutions. They're coming in from jails and prisons. They're terrorists, and they're coming in at levels that nobody's ever seen before. Do you know, I think the fake news will agree with this, they had a post up about 2 weeks ago. They said, and I don't even believe this, it's too good to be true. In 2019, that's one of my years, they had no terrorists coming into our country. We had the terror ban. We had all the different things, right? We had no terrorists. It actually said 20, and you can go check it. You can check Deface the Nation on one of these shows. I think they put it up. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Donald Trump on Deface the Nation. Oh, they're bad news. They're all bad. They're all so bad. I don't even know why. Why do they want to have an open border? Why do they want to have high interest rates, high taxes, a bad military, I mean, they are, so one thing nobody's been able to explain why, because again, you want to have borders. If you don't have borders and fair elections, you don't have a country. And we don't have borders and we don't have fair elections when you get right down to it. On day one, I will terminate every open border policy of crooked Joe Biden and the Biden administration. And to stop the deadly drugs that are poisoning our people, we are losing, in my opinion, 300,000, not 100, not 97. It's been 97 for years. It's 300,000, probably more than that. Right, Joe? I would say probably, these are front row Joes over here. They follow me all over the place. I can't get rid of them. I can't get rid of them. These are all front row Joes. They're fantastic. You must have a lot of money, no matter where I go. I say, it's front row Joes. You become quite famous, which is pretty cool, right? When you get right down. Thank you, everybody. Oh, North Carolina? We have North Carolina. We have a group of women. They've gone to 117 events. Beautiful women, married. I don't know if it could be successful because they've gone to 117 rallies. They were here last night. We had a big one in your arena. That was a great one, and this is a great one, except for all the people that have to stand outside. But I will deploy the U.S. Navy to impose a full fentanyl blockade on the waters of our region, because a lot of it comes in by ship. The drug cartels are waging war in America, and we will wage and destroy. We will wage war on the drug cartels. They don't want this. They don't want this. We did so well. We did so well with them, but now they make more money probably than almost anybody in our country. They're making more money than the richest people that you read about, including me. They make more money than anybody in this country. Millions, billions and billions of dollars, because our leaders are stupid. Okay? They allow them to make it. They drop people off. They say, walk across the river. They build platforms where they walk across the river. You've never seen anything like it. And it's like a well-oiled machine. And it just doesn't make sense. Who could want this? Who could allow this to happen to our beautiful country? And I'll use Title 42 as I did. We had Title 42 to end the child trafficking crisis by returning all trafficked children to their families in their home countries immediately. Nikki Haley, globalist, will never secure the border or stop the fentanyl that is killing thousands of New Hampshire citizens. And you know that. Nikki opposed my border wall. You know, she fought me on the border wall. I said, what the hell is that woman doing? She fought me on the border wall. We'll have to figure that one out. She condemned my strong border policy. She didn't want to have the strong. You know, there are a group of people that actually think open borders are okay. Those people, they're generally not very smart. Yeah, they're Democrats. They're definitely not Republicans. And then she stabbed the Republican Party in the back by siding with Barack Hussein Obama against the Trump travel ban. I have to be very careful when I say Obama's name because, you know, the fake news, they say, did you ever realize that he gets the name Barack Obama confused with Biden? You know, they're trying to say he's cognitively impaired. And when I use it, because I figure Barack Hussein Obama is probably running things based on some of the people I see. So when I say Barack Hussein Obama is running things, they say, oh, when I imitate him walking into a wall because he can't find the stairs. They showed me, true, they showed me sometimes, I'll like, we'll have fun. We got to have fun. If we don't have a sense of humor with what's happening to our country, we're really screwed. So I'll show, they said, please. I'll show, you know, where you go, huh. He makes a speech that lasts for about 2 seconds. He goes, huh. You ever notice how short his speeches are? They last for about like 2.5 minutes. You know why? Because it starts wearing off after a short period of time. He starts falling asleep. You know, I never talked about him this way until I got indicted. It's true. Once he indicted me, he did something that's never been done before. He indicted a very popular, look, I had tremendous popularity. We had a tremendous success. He indicted, raided my house. I mean, think of it, raided Mar-a-Lago. FBI agents raiding Mar-a-Lago. But think of it, he indicted a former president of the United States. Once that happened, thank you. I agree. No. Thank you. But once that happened, it was like the gloves were off, because that's the worst thing. It's not even possible. Many presidents leave, and there are things you can go after. And frankly, to be honest, that's one of the reasons the Supreme Court is looking now at immunity. You have to have a guaranteed immunity for a president. Otherwise, a president's not going to be able to function. They're not going to move. Harry Truman would not have done Hiroshima, Nagasaki, probably ended the war, probably, I think so. But he wouldn't have done it. So many things wouldn't be done. But think of it. Barack Obama shot missiles during his term, shot missiles into an area, killed a lot of people. They missed. I mean, does that mean you indict him when he gets out of office? Well, she goes, it does. But, you know, you have to allow a president to do his job. They'll make decisions. And, you know, it's like the police. I say we have to give the police back their power. We're not going to have any crime. But we protect what we do. I mean, to me, it's the best analogy. And our Democrat-run cities are dens of horrible crime right now. No, we've never seen anything like it. Washington, D.C. people are getting shot every single day. Washington, D.C. We're going to, by the way, take over the capital of our country. We're going to fix it, clean it, and make it totally safe. We're going to bring it back. It's going to be better than it ever was before. But we're going to do that with our cities. But it's a little bit like the police. So you have a rogue cop. You know what a rogue cop is? Very seldom. But you have bad people. You have people, no matter where, no matter what. In the church, you have some people that aren't so good, right? But you have people, a rogue cop or a bad apple, whatever. And what they do is they make it so that you catch, so that it can't happen, and therefore everyone else is allowed to commit crimes, murders, like at levels that we've never seen before. No, we're going to have to do this, immunity for the president. If you have a president that doesn't have immunity, he's never going to be free to do anything, because the opposing party will always indict him as soon as he leaves the White House. And you can't let that happen. You can't. You take away all of the power of the presidency, it'll be a different country. So hopefully the decision will be a correct one, hopefully. Because you know what I find, and I just love to speak. You don't mind if I speak my mind, do you? I mean, you know, I figure I spend about 16% of my time on these suckers, and the rest of it, he goes, you don't need it now. Thank God I don't. Isn't it nice to have a president that doesn't need it? It doesn't help him much because he can't read it. But I spend a small amount of time on those because it's frankly not as interesting. But the immunity situation is so important. And one thing I've noticed, and I've noticed it very strongly, if Biden or Obama, Democrat, appoint a judge, they go out of their way to hurt you. If a Republican appoints a judge like me, I appoint a judge, they go out of their way to show they're not biased and that they can't be bought, they can't be this, they can't be. You appoint somebody and they go out of their way to rule against you because they want to show that they are not in any way influenced by the fact that you appointed them. And you really do have two standards. It's an incredible difference. And hopefully the Republican justices that we have and judges that we have will make correct decisions. And what I want is just fair and correct decisions. And the president has to have immunity. If they don't have immunity, you're not going to have a presidency much. You're not going to have much of a country, frankly. It'll be a terrible thing. It'll be a disaster. Biden and his thugs are desperate to stop us because they know that we are the only ones that can stop them. We're the only ones. There's nobody else. The greatest movement of all time, okay? It's true. And you know what I believe? I believe it's over 90%. You ever hear these guys? Well, Donald Trump has a pretty good lock on the party. He's got about 48% of the... That's not 48. MAGA is not 48. MAGA is like 95% of the party. I believe that. That's why I like the gentleman that I introduced you to, Lawrence, because Lawrence would be at a diner someplace, right? And the studio would be talking to the anchors, and They say, well, this one and that. I can't use the name Ron, so I'm not going to use Ron anymore, but let's use some of other candidates, right? Nikki Haley is doing really well, which is not true. She's doing really poorly. She's losing by a lot. But Nikki Haley is this and that, and another one is this and that. And then, all right, take it away, Lawrence. And Lawrence is going, you know, I'm hearing you, what you're saying, but it's not like that out here. And then it'll turn around. There'll be like 200 people having breakfast, and they'll say, who likes Trump? The place goes crazy. Who likes Haley? There's no sound. Who likes another person? I won't say it anymore. But there'd be no sound. So I thought it was cool. I actually thought it was cool. So having Lawrence was a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. There's a little streetwise intelligence there, you know. It's so cool. Yeah, hey, listen, what you're saying, it's just not working down here, I tell you. But, you know, that's what the truth is. That's why they are weaponizing law enforcement at a level like never before, and it's all high-level election interference. They're interfering. Tomorrow, you know where I'm going to be? I don't have to be there, but I want to be there because otherwise I can't get a fair shake. I'm going to be in court. Democrat. It's okay. So I go there tomorrow morning, leave early, or tonight I think I'm leaving late. I'll leave late. Thank you, Ray. She said I'm praying. I could use your prayers. No, but look, it is what it is. These are crooked people. These are corrupt people. These are corrupt people. But I'm going for a trial tomorrow, all done by political opera. Reid Hoffman is sponsoring this woman that said terrible things from 30 years ago. He took me, I owned 3-4 buildings around it. I owned the hotel next to it. I took her, a totally fabricated story. It's all fabricated. And the lawyer is a political operative. He used to be very close to Cuomo. Do you ever hear of Cuomo? And a political operative. Then you find out they fund it. And we had a special session on funding. And when the judge found out that it was true that they're funding it, he wouldn't let it as evidence. But that's okay. So I go there. I'll spend time there, and then I come back here. Who else would do this? I've been doing this now. And that's exactly. Now, here's the thing. Think of this. The day of your primary, right? The day of your primary. I have a case which is brought the day before Super Tuesday. Super Tuesday is a big deal. I have another case that's brought just before Iowa. Just before Iowa. And it's a disgrace. I have like 8 of them. Civil cases, all kinds of cases. We got this is equal opportunity. We have every kind of case you can have. But think of it. They're filed. Now, I said, 9%. In Nevada, we're polling at 100%. Think of that. And a lot of people don't know, they never cover this, but the next state is not South Carolina, where, if you saw, almost every single elected official was here last night endorsing me. Pretty hard. You know, she's the governor, they're all endorsing me, which tells you something. But in Nevada, which is actually next week, and we have 100% because it's a caucus, and I was leading by so much that they all pulled out. That's a nice feeling. Then we go to South Carolina, where we're leading by a lot. In South Carolina, respected pollster Tony Fabrizio. Is he a relation to Al Capone? Tony Fabrizio? Alphonse Capone, I keep saying it. The guy got away with murder. Tony Fabrizio has it where Trump is at 64, very good pollster, by the way, and Haley is at 25, 64, 25. We're leading into New Hampshire, and all over the state we're leading here, and all of the polls, but, you know, with all of it, I could go over polls. You know, I only give you good polls, okay? I never talk about bad polls, okay? You understand. But we don't have any bad polls. We really don't. And our best polls are against Biden, frankly. Our best polls, and the other people that were running and are running, but are losing very substantially to Biden. So with all of the polls, I won't go through any more of them, but they're the same thing. With all of the polls that are out, everything's, we're all set to win, but you have to do just one favor. No matter how big we're winning, we want to win by big margins. It means so much. To win by 70%, 50%, 40%. That's what happened in Iowa. I was going through Iowa. Every time I got up, the first thing I say, don't believe the polls, just go out and vote, because even if we're going to win by a lot, we got to win by more. The more we win by, the bigger a signal we send for November. So that's why you have to do it. We're also dominating crooked Joe Biden in the general election. We're up 8 points over Biden in the brand new Rasmussen poll. And Haley is down, I think, 6 or something like that. No, she's going to lose. She's going to lose. No, they want her to run. The reason they're financing her, they're spending all this money. They have a guy named Reid Hoffman, sloppy-looking guy, not attractive at all. I'm not allowed to say that. If it were a woman, I could definitely not say it. But about him, he's a real slob. But he's rich. And he's fine. He's a Democrat operative. He's giving them a lot of money. It's terrible. Giving her. The radical left Democrats rigged the presidential election in 2020, and we're not going to let them rig the presidential election of 2024. We're not going to let it happen. They're going to try, too, by the way. They're going to try. That's all they're good at. That's the only thing they're good at, is cheating. Every time the radical left Democrats, Marxists, communists, fascists indict me, I consider it a great badge of honor. I do, actually, because I'm being indicted for you. I'm being indicted for you. They're after. These people are crazy. Never forget, our enemies want to take away my freedom, because I will never let them take away your freedom. That's what it's all about. They want to silence me, because I will never let them silence you. And in the end, they're not after me, which is actually true, hard to believe. They're after you. I just happen to be standing in the way, and I will always stand in the way. So we're delighted to have a few people tonight that I wanted to call out. Last night we had states of people, and it was really something. What a special. Tomorrow night we're doing a big deal, too. And this is big, but we have some of your local people that have done such a great job. The chairman of the Rochester Regional Republican Committee, Carlton Cooper. Where's Carlton? Thank you, Carlton. Looking good. Thank you, Carlton. The vice chair of New Hampshire Republican Party, Ryan Terrell. Ryan. Thank you. Thank you. A man that's been with me right from the beginning, the early days, and boy, does he love the veterans, and we take care of our veterans. Lou Gargiulo. Where's Lou? Thank you, Lou. What a great job. Did I do the best job for the vets, please, Lou? You know, it's always dangerous, because if he said no, the whole evening is screwed, okay? But he won't say it. I have total confidence. We're doing a job, right? Thank you, Lou. Thank you. Thank you. We took care of the vets. You know, the vets, Lou will tell you, the vets would have to wait 2, 3, 4 months sometimes to see a doctor. And I came in, I said, if they can't see a doctor within 24 hours, they go outside and they get a private doctor, we pay the bill. And you know, it's interesting. We saved a lot of lives. People would become terminally ill as they waited. We saved a lot of lives, and that was good. And the other thing is we were able to fire almost 9,000 people from the VA. You know what? That doesn't sound good. We were able to fire people. You couldn't do it because I had to get these things through Congress, by the way. This wasn't just signing an executive order, right, Lou? But we had to we fired 9,000, close to 9,000 people working at the VA who were sadists, who were thieves, who were horrible people, who were beating up our veterans because it's not prime time for the veterans. They wouldn't have done it 30 years earlier. But these people are very sick, and the people that were doing this, we had a lot of sadists, a lot of bad people. You couldn't do a thing. We had a group of people that sold, I think it was $400,000 in Arizona, I believe. $400,000. And they were unable, before me, they were unable to fire them. They stole $400,000, they were caught. And you couldn't fire them because of civil service. Anyway, we got a law passed. We got it passed in Congress. You think that was easy? They've been trying to get those two things, that and the health care. They tried to get it done for a period of 52 years one and 59 years the other. And I got them both done. And we fired 9,000 very bad people. And another man who I think is here, and he loves your state, and he worked. Nobody was closer to me. Corey Lewandowski. Is Corey here? Where's Corey? Oh, look at him. Whoa. Come here. Come here. Say something. Come on, Corey. Come on. Come on.
Thank you, sir.
I heard things are good.
Thank you, everybody. How much do we love Donald Trump? On Tuesday, we deliver the biggest victory the state's ever seen for the next president of the United States, Donald Trump. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
We love Corey. He's great. I'll tell you what, he loves this state. You know, a lot of people, they want to move to other places. I said, would you ever move, Corey? I love New Hampshire. He's not leaving. You're not leaving, Corey. He will never leave. He will never leave. And we all love New Hampshire. From the very first day that we take back the White House from crooked Joe Biden and his band of radical left lunatics, I believe we're going to have the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. The next Trump economic boom will begin on November 5th, 2024. And we're going to bring America together through a word called success. You know, we had the most successful economy in history. Then we got hit with COVID, and then by the time we gave it back, it was the stock market was even higher than it was just prior to COVID coming in. But we had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We were doubling up on China. We were taking in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs and taxes from China. No other president took in anything, nothing. They ran roughshod over us. But we had 4 incredible years under my leadership. We built the greatest economy, and we had record low unemployment rates. We had the best unemployment rates ever, and they were real unemployment, not like you have today where nobody's working and they consider it to be. It's a whole different thing. Too complicated to explain, but it's a whole different thing. You don't have to know about it. But I'm talking about real good unemployment rates. And for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, veterans, young people, women, people with degrees from the great Wharton School of Finance. Did you ever hear of the Wharton School of Finance? From MIT, from the greatest schools, although MIT was hurt very badly, unfortunately, by this person running it. Did you see that, the 3 people? How good did Elise Stepanek do? Right? How about the head of Harvard? Do you think she was great? She was great. She was just great. No, Elise was fantastic. Elise has been here for 4 days. She's going around. She's amazing, right? Did you hear her speak? Yeah, she's great, isn't she? We had gas prices at $1.87 a gallon, and there was no inflation. We had no inflation. Together we ended the NAFTA disaster, the worst trade deal ever made in the history of our country, and replaced it with a brand new and very successful USMCA, the best trade deal ever made. You know, that deal is so good that Mexico and Canada, who really took advantage of us for years, they want to renegotiate the deal. And I sent word to the administration. I do like to send word. Sometimes they'll ask me. I said, don't ever even think about we suffered with NAFTA for years, and now they want to renegotiate, which actually makes me feel quite good. I took on communist China like no administration in history, bringing in hundreds, think of it, hundreds of billions of dollars pouring into our treasury when no other president had gotten literally not 10 cents, not 10 cents. For years and years, they took advantage of us. In fact, they had a minor stock market crash last week. The poll came out. You know, whenever a poll comes out that's good for me, your stocks go up and other countries go down. Does that tell you something? They had a little market crash last week. Oh, you know what it was? The night of Iowa, when those incredible best numbers in the history of the caucus, the best in the history. Think of that. That's a long time. And China had a rough day. Let's put it. Doesn't that tell you something, right? Doesn't Joe, right? And I gave $28 billion to the farmers and to the New England lobstermen and fishermen. We gave you a lot of money because they took advantage of you, but they don't with me. And I'll fight for the fishermen like never before with 4 more years. What they've done to the fishermen. Do you see where Biden wants to impose a fee on fishermen, $700 a day? I don't know much about fishing other than I want to take care of them, and I do. Nobody ever took care of them like I did. But $700 a fee, a daily fee of $700, that's a lot of fish, right? That's a hell of a lot of fish. I don't know how people can afford that. But that's what they have, $700 a day. It's a big deal going on right now. It's in the court system going on right now. These people, what they want to do, how they want to destroy our country. You know, I saw the other day, people coming in legally through our system. They frisk them. They rip off their clothes. They check everything that you can check. And yet, if you walk over to the southern border, you can just walk into the country, right? The people that want to come into our country illegally, or citizens. When a citizen is coming back into the country, they go through hell. When you're a person that comes from Honduras or anywhere and you want to come in illegally, you just walk right the hell into our country, right? They were showing the difference. A citizen gets rough. It's rough. Half of them think they'll never get back in. As soon as I get back in the White House, I will quickly end Joe Biden's inflation catastrophe. We will terminate the Green New Scam. We will terminate the Green New Scam. I don't call it the Green New Deal. I call it the Green New Scam. How about this guy, Kerry? Finally, they got him the hell out. So China's building a coal plant every week, a massive coal plants. And Kerry goes over there to talk about how do we work it so that the environment. So they said, well, we don't think you should build any more plants. I said, what about them? They don't have to do anything. You know, it's interesting with the environment. Nobody knows more about the environment than me. I know a lot. But, you know, when those fumes go up from China, they blow right over our heads in 3.5 days. When they dump their garbage in the oceans, the currents take them right into Los Angeles. Thank you. 5 days. You ever see? We take away tons and tons of garbage. We clean up their garbage. It's amazing. You know, they want us to be pollutant-free. And yet their crap flies over our country every single day. We're really a bunch of babies. We're a bunch of babies. And what do you think about the mandate for the all-electric cars? They don't go far. Or you buy a little apartment someplace and they put a new sink in and no water comes out of the sink. They have called restrictors. You turn on the water, no water comes out. You want to wash your hands, no water. Let's drop. Because you're not allowed to do. Even in areas that have so much water, they don't know what they're doing with it, right? In California, they send millions of gallons of water out into the Pacific before it reaches the farm belt, the farm area, because they're trying to protect a tiny little fish that nobody ever heard of before. And then they want to put restrictions if you live in Bel Air and pay a fortune, or Beverly Hills, that you can't use more than 27 gallons a day. Can you believe it? You have a house that's costing tens of millions of dollars, but you can't use your water. It's so crazy. And we have so much water. In fact, they have the canals that go right into Los Angeles, go right past the farms, and they turn it off. They have a massive valve. I was working with Devin Nunes, who's great, former congressman. He's great. He's in charge of Truth Social, which is hot. It's my voice. But I said, why are all these areas so barren? And then you have a little tiny, beautiful little green spot right in the middle. They said they don't give us any water. I said, but you must have a horrible drought. We don't have a drought. They have the water. You have to see this. They have the water, millions of barrels of water, gallons of water, millions going into the Pacific Ocean before it gets to these areas. If they let it come down to the farms, and I was working with Gavin Newsom on that, and I was ready to get it, and then we got hit with the COVID thing, and we had other things to do. But there's so many things that we can do to make this country so much. Just the money that we're talking about. You know, that land is very fertile land, but it's got no water. They took it away. It comes down from Canada, comes down from the Pacific Northwest, comes all the way down, all the way down. It's a beautiful thing to see. And then it goes, I say, what the hell happened? The water's, you got tons of water, and then you look a mile down the way, and there's nothing. It's bone dry. All they have to do is turn that valve in the different direction. They don't want to do it. It's, you know, the story. I mean, do they want to destroy our country? It's just what is going on. So we're going to be drilling, and we're going to be doing all of those things, and we'll quickly cut your, and I'm telling you, I'm giving you this as a pledge. Your energy prices will be, from the first day we take office, 1 year, your prices in New Hampshire will be 1/2. We have so much energy. 1/2. Now, who else can do that? And the fake news will say, he bribed the people of New Hampshire. Yeah. You know what I bribed you with? You know what I bribed you with? Common sense. That's what I bribed you. He bribed the people. No, your energy prices will be 50%. And that's not even hard to do. You can do better than that. But you will have that done within 1 year. So whatever you're paying, mark it down, because you're going to have it done within 1 year. While Biden is pushing the largest tax hike in American history, you know he's trying to do that, I will make the Trump tax cuts, which were the biggest in history, permanent. You know they expire in a year. And I'll make them permanent. Now we have to get a little help from these characters. And I'll once again cut a record number of job-killing regulations. So in 4 years, I cut more regulations. I went to the big businessmen with a group of some of the biggest business, you know, running the big companies, the big public companies. I said, if you had your choice, would you rather have the tax cuts or would you rather have the regulation cuts? Every single one of them said the regulation cuts. They weren't able to do anything. They couldn't do anything. If they had land, they couldn't touch it. They couldn't do anything. They said every single one, there were probably 40 of them, 42, big meeting, and they all said the regulation cuts were actually more important than the tax cuts. But the tax cuts, a lot of the middle-income folks would say the tax cuts would be more important. But probably that's why we had the great employment numbers. Before I arrive at the Oval Office, shortly after we win the presidency, we have to win because we're not going to have a country if we don't. I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled before I even take office. Got to be settled. It never would have happened. And even the Democrats admit that if Trump were president, Putin would have listened to me 100%. It was the apple of his eye. I get along with him very well. It was the apple of his eye, but it never would have happened. I told him, I said, Vladimir, don't do it, because here's what's going to happen. And he said, no way. I said, way. But it wouldn't have happened. But it also wouldn't have happened for another reason. I had a barrel. We were at about 42, 43, 45. We actually had it down to 28, and these companies were going to go out of business. We had to lift it. We actually had to lift it. But we, at $40, he didn't have the money to prosecute the war. At $100 a barrel, he had so much money. He made a fortune on that war. And this guy is the guy that lifted the price up. So he wants to make a deal to stop the war, but he's making it impossible because Putin's making an absolute fortune. Because he never, there's so little, these are not chess players. They're not checker players either. These are horrible, horrible negotiators. Or there's something else going on that we just don't know about. There's something going on. Like when you look, I don't know if you saw it, did you see that China is paying the Penn Center hundreds of millions of dollars? The Biden Penn Center. Biden couldn't get into Penn. No, he's got the Penn Center. Did you see it came out today? The fake news can tell you about it. They pay him like $100 and some odd million. They paid over $100 million. And they pay Biden a lot of money to be the chairman, but he hasn't been there forever. The whole thing, this country is so corrupt. And then they try with Hunter, no, they try and act like, oh, it's, well, no, I want $500,000 a painting. You know, it's interesting. They called me, they want me to do a painting for the White House. You know, you have these beautiful paintings of presidents, and they want me to do a painting. And it's sort of the last thing on my mind. We got to take it back and save our country. But I meet with these artists, and they give you like 25 artists, and you meet with them a little bit, and they're unbelievably talented people. And they get a hell of a lot less than $500,000. I could make a deal for peanuts. And they're really talented people. You know, they're on a list of great artists because they want certain people doing it at the White House. And Biden gets $500,000 a painting. And I guess the one guy bought a lot of them, right? He bought a lot of them. He was buying the place out. Could you imagine if Don Jr. got $500,000 a painting that he didn't spend? And it's all modern, you know, because modern, you take a can of paint, throw it, take a few of it, throw it. Then you say, $500,000. You could do one of those paintings in about 12 seconds. You have 5 cans, boom, 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 done, next. Give me $500,000. No, it's so corrupt. It's, you know, when that came out, I said, there's one they won't get away with. They got away with it. I guess. I don't know. Did they get away with it? I don't know. Maybe not. We will restore peace through strength. That's what we did. We had no wars. We had no wars. And I'm the only candidate who can make this promise to you that I will prevent World War III. I know them all. We're not going to have World War III. And we are so close to World War III, you have no idea. When I looked at those bombs a few days ago starting to drop all over the Middle East, I say, Middle East, here we come again. I got you out and got rid of ISIS. We'll build an iron dome over our country, the state-of-the-art missile defense shield, and it's all made in the USA. You know, we have them for Israel. We have them we don't have them for ourselves. I think it's time that we have one. Does that make sense? And you know what? It's all great jobs. We're going to make it here, but we're going to have an iron dome so that if somebody decides to take some shots, this stuff is really effective. You know, Ronald Reagan wanted to do it. I think he called it Star Wars. Star Wars. The problem was there was no technology. It was a great idea, but today we have unbelievable technology. I saw it. I saw missiles going into Saudi Arabia, and I saw soldiers with extremely high IQs, okay? Not strong physically, but strong mentally. And they go, missile, 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 and they very calmly walk to a desk. Ding, 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 ding. They see the thing's traveling like 2,500 miles an hour, and they're like cool as a cucumber. Bing, bing, bing. Missile launch, bing, boom. It's the most unbelievable thing. But we don't have it here. We don't have it there. Many times I will tell you, Saudi Arabia saved Saudi Arabia a lot where missiles were shot from Yemen, from other places too. And these guys were unbelievable. They have actually tapes of it in action. And they're cool as a cucumber. You know, you have like, I think 17 seconds to get this thing off, right? You don't have a lot of time. The thing is moving pretty quick. And they just sit back, and it's like taking candy from a baby. It's a genius. It's incredible. We have the technology now. We're going to use it for ourselves. I will also defend our great veterans as nobody else has ever defended them. And I will ask Congress to build the full-service VA hospital that New Hampshire veterans so dearly deserve. You're the only state that doesn't have a VA hospital, full service. You know, you're the only state that doesn't have, what happened there, Al? They don't have it. What the hell's going on? The only state that don't, okay, they're the only state that don't have a full service VA hospital. We're going to build one, okay? We're going to build it. I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical, out-of-control prosecutor in America for their illegal, racist, and reverse enforcement of the law. The prosecutors are out of control. especially if you happen to be a Republican. They are out of control. It's become such a corrupt system. I'm also going to indemnify all police officers and law enforcement officials throughout the United States to protect them from being destroyed by the radical left for taking strong action against crime. If you stop somebody from robbing a store, they want to destroy your life. Why were you so tough? Why were you so bad? You ever see anything where they walk out of the stores with televisions and everything? I mean, I never said. And the police are told, don't do anything, because they get sued. We're going to indemnify all police officers and some precincts, depending on where they are. We're going to rebuild our cities into beacons of hope, safety, and beauty better than ever before. Our cities are falling apart. They're all Democrat-run. They're falling apart, and they are so crime-ridden. You can't walk down the street without getting shot. That includes our capital, by the way, our United States Capitol. People can't go there anymore. It's so dangerous. You walk across the street to a park, which is, by the way, loaded up with tents, homeless tents. You know, I stopped that. When I was president, if I saw 2 or 3 tents forming, I said, immediately remove them. But then when you have 1,000 tents, it's a much tougher thing to do. But it was in relatively good shape. It was in very good shape. But, you know, you need new roads. You need new medians. They have the medians falling down. You know, that metal garbage that they sell, right, like this? It looks like they put it in the next day. I don't know. The sun heats it up and it just it is the worst crap. Whoever made that stuff got away with a lot of money. But they have them all over the place. But they're falling apart. They always fall apart. They're laying down. But these are very old. And they're half laying on the road. And you're driving into the White House, or you're driving in wherever you have a meeting. You know where I was going? To court, because it was a Biden court. I call it a Biden court. I was going in to defend myself against this crooked president that we have. So I'm going into a court in Washington, D.C., where I can't get a fair trial, by the way, but that's all right. It'll work out, because things work out, you know? Things work out. But look, so they said, sir, I hope you don't get a certain judge, because it would be impossible to win. I got that judge. I wonder how that happened. There's many, many judges. They said, well, the one you just can't get, it's so unfair, is this one. I got that judge. But don't worry about me. I'm taking care of you. Don't worry. But I was driving in, and you're driving over garbage. I mean, literally, it's the street. Can you imagine you're from a country? You're the head, or you're the prime minister, you're the president, of some beautiful country, terrible country, and you're driving in over garbage. There's cartons of paper. There's beer cans all over the road. And they've been there for a long time. You know, you can tell. They've been there for a long time. It's so sad to see. That's our capital. You can't walk across the street. You can't walk outside. 3 people were shot last week. They're being shot all the time and dying in many cases. They come in from Nebraska. They come in from nice, beautiful places like your great state. They come into the capital. They come in from New Hampshire, and they go and they want to see our great Washington, D.C., and they go away saying, wow, if they go away at all. But it's very dangerous, because people are getting shot all the time. And I want the federal government to take over our capital, run it properly, and be very strong on crime, rebuild it, and get rid of the slum areas. We're going to get rid of the slum areas. Or make them parks or something. On day one, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content onto the lives of our children. And I will not give 1 penny to any school that has a vaccine mandate or a mask mandate. And I always say that I can't believe I have to say this, but I have to say this. You would not, 10 years ago, 15 years, this would be not even thinkable. And I will keep men out of women's sports. Can you believe it? And the new thing, I don't know if you heard, I heard it yesterday, where they want women to be able to fight men. In other words, like in UFC or boxing. They want women to fight. And, you know, they know that. By the way, they know how that works out, because in gyms, you know, they're all practicing, working out together. They know that doesn't work out too well. But can you imagine they want women to fight men? This is sick. It's just crazy what's going on. The weightlifting is something to behold. A record that stood for 18 years gets broken by 157 pounds. They put in a quarter of an ounce and a quarter of an ounce, and the women can't do it. 18, I can't do it. They put in 150 pounds, and the guy lifts it like it's nothing. The whole thing is crazy. It's crazy. And you know, and there are people, I sort of think they're serious about it. I don't understand. I think, you know, you always like to understand where the other side's coming from, but a lot of this stuff is not understandable. Again, we're the party of common sense. I will fully uphold the Second Amendment. I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency where they can rob your money. We will protect innocent life, and we will restore free speech, which we don't have now. And I will secure our elections. Our goal will be one-day voting with paper ballots and voter ID. But until then, Republicans must win. We have to win on Tuesday. We have to win, and we have to win by a big, resounding number. It's got to be a big, big, beautiful number. You know, Vivek just came with us. And now Ron just came with us. They're all coming with us. They're all coming. If you took the 10 worst presidents in the history, and by the way, Senator Tim Scott, what a good guy. He came with us. From the same state, South Carolina, as Nikki. They had her, what do you think, Senator Scott? You know, she appointed him, and he went with me. I said, why? I said, she must be bad. She must be bad. No, that was a beautiful endorsement 2 nights ago. If you took the 10 worst presidents in the history of the United States and added them up, they would not have done near the destruction to our country as crooked Joe Biden and the Biden administration have done. There's nobody ever has done damage to our country like this. So if you want to save America, then this Tuesday, January 23rd, day after tomorrow, very simple, you must vote for Trump. Have to vote for Trump. So in conclusion, and it's been great to be with you, really good. You're great people. You built this country, you really did. You really did. I said it too, Iowa, you built this country, so many great states, great people, the great states. From Manchester to Meredith, from Plymouth to Portsmouth, from Raymond to Rochester, you inherit the legacy of red-blooded New Hampshire patriots who lived by the very simple but immortal motto, live free or die. Right? Have you heard of it? Have you heard of it? We stand on the shoulders of American heroes who crossed the oceans, settled the continent, tamed the wilderness, laid down the railroads, raised up those great skyscrapers, won 2 world wars. You know, we won world wars out of forts. Fort Benning, Fort this, Fort that, many forts. They changed the name. We won wars out of these forts. They changed the name. They changed the name of the forts. A lot of people aren't too happy about that. Defeated, he said, unacceptable, yeah. No, they changed the name of a lot of our forts. We won 2 world wars out of a lot of these forts, and they changed the name. It's unbelievable. Defeated fascism and communism and made America the single greatest nation in the history of the world. You did it. But now we are a nation in decline. We are a failing nation. We are a nation that has lost its confidence, its willpower, and it's lost its strength. We are a nation that has quite simply lost its way. But we are not going to allow this horror to continue. 3 years ago, we were a great nation, and we will soon be a great nation again. And it will happen fast. It was hardworking patriots like you who built this country. And it is hardworking patriots like you who are going to save our country. We will fight for America like no one has ever fought before. 2024 is our final battle. With you at my side, we will demolish the deep state. We will expel the warmongers. We will expel them. People that want to go and have wars all the time. Nikki's one of them. She's one of them. Let's kill people all over the place, and let's make a lot of money for those people that make the missiles. We don't even have, a couple of weeks ago, I saw where they said we're very low on ammunition. Number one, that should, because we're giving it all away, right? To people, to countries. We're giving it away. We're low on ammunition. If that were true, you don't say it. There's some. Can you imagine President Xi of China, Putin of Russia, saying, they just announced they're low on ammunition? That's not the kind of thing you want to say, and it's very stupid to be in that position anyway. We will drive out the globalists. We will cast out the communists, Marxists, and fascists. We will throw off the sick political class that truly hates our country. We will rout the fake news media. We will evict crooked Joe Biden from the White House. On Election Day, 2024, we will evict this crooked, terrible president from the White House. The great silent majority is rising like never before. And under our leadership, the forgotten man and woman will be forgotten no longer. 4 years you had it. You were not forgotten. Just 3 years ago, for 4 years, you were not forgotten. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. And together we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, New Hampshire. Go out and vote. God bless you. God bless you.
That I truly believe that the state of New Hampshire, in terms of President Trump, absolutely comes out full enthusiasm for this president. I mean, we have done hundreds of rallies, and I got to say, New Hampshire, you got top prize right now. Welcome as our post-show for President Donald J. Trump here in Rochester, New Hampshire. We'll get to some of the highlights of the speech, but first of all, I want to thank a lot of our sponsors here. Without them, it's just not possible. The Birch Gold Group right now, if you want to get ahead of any financial crisis, just turn to our friends over the Birch Gold Group. Simply text the words Trump to 989898. That is Trump to 989898. Don't forget about our friends over the Tax Network USA. If you're dealing with any kind of tax issues, please give them a call. Reach out to them. They want to alleviate any type of stress you might have in terms of taxes. If you haven't paid your taxes in a year, or maybe it's 10 years, go check it out. The information for that is on your screen. Plus, the Trumpinator, you got to love it. It makes a great gift. Every time we highlight this product, we seem to sell out of it. So make sure you get your hands on it right now. The information for that, for the Trumpinator, the bobblehead, is on your screen as well. And don't forget about the great people over at mypillow.com/RSBN is the website for that. Get great savings. They might even have some holdovers from the holiday season. So don't forget to check that out. Plus, freetrumpbook.com, freetrumpbook.com. A lot of the accomplishments that he talked about tonight are in that book. Securing our border, having patriotism back. Go check it out. All you got to do is pay a slight shipping and handling fee. freetrumpbook.com. Don't forget to go to our website and donate as well. rsbnetwork.com/donate. Easy to do. You can do a one-time donation. You can do a recurring donation as well. Whatever you feel led to give. Because of you is the reason why we're here in New Hampshire. Also, don't forget to sign up for our newsletter as well. Same website, same page. Click on the newsletter tab and you can sign up for that. A couple bits of information. Get that delivered to your inbox. Get special offers just in our newsletter there. Go check it out. The website's great. rsbnetwork.com. rsbnetwork.com. So my biggest takeaways from this is I feel like the unity from the party is coming together, and I think that he gave some really nice comments to Ron DeSantis as far as honored to have his endorsement. I think it was a smart move on the DeSantis camp. I think probably initially never should have got into this race, but he did, and probably through the persuasion of donors and consultants who are just only after making money themselves. But nevertheless, we have now a two-man race. We'll see exactly what those polls look like on Tuesday to see if they reflect this maybe batch of voters that were going to go for Ron DeSantis now, probably, I would assume, which turned their party, or their vote rather, into the Trump camp. And we'll see what that has any effect on Nikki Haley, as the polling here in New Hampshire is very solid, maybe 30-point lead, and depending on what poll you look at, for President Trump here in New Hampshire. Now tomorrow, we are back on the road with President Trump. We're going down to the southern part of the state, just above the Massachusetts border. We'll be there with our crew on the ground, maybe some special content to deliver to you as well. And then on election night, we've got it. That's right. We'll be there at the official Donald J. Trump watch party, and we'll have that for you as well. And, of course, we'll have some special guests that will drop in for that watch party, so you'll want to stay tuned for that. But my biggest takeaway is the unity of the party. I think we've got a lot of momentum going into Tuesday and really going into November. This is about defeating the Democrats in November. I want the GOP to come together. We've got a great message of saving America. We've got a great solution, great policies that will quite honestly save this country and basically solve a lot of the issues that we have right now. That is my biggest takeaway. All right, great crowd here, great energy. And as always, we appreciate you tuning in to us on this Sunday night. And I'll leave you with this. Keep praying for this country. Keep praying for this president. And until next time, goodbye. God bless from the Granite State of New Hampshire. We'll see you back here tomorrow night. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you.
What's up, guys? My name is Jaden Hurd, and I have a Christian show called Let It Be Heard, where we analyze culture and current events from a biblical perspective. I highly recommend you guys check us out. We now have episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And basically, what happens is we react to videos, we have talking points, we have on guests, and it's very exciting. Come check us out on Rumble on the RSBN channel. God bless you guys.
Parents and grandparents, the 2024 Kids Guide to President Trump is here, and it's free. As a bonus, your child gets a free issue of Everbright Kids Magazine and Activity Book, and a free video lesson. Order now at freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow, towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. I mean, this is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work. What a concept. I'm interrupting this commercial to let you know you can get our 6-piece My Towels, regular $69.98, now only $29.98. Or you can save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels, made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Also, we have bath sheets, bath towels, washcloths, hand towels, and so much more. And the best part, with your promo code, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all My Towels. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Welcome to the Right Side Broadcasting Network. We're not like the other media outlets out there that cut and edit what other people say. In 2015, we were created by our founder, Joe Seals, to cover President Donald J. Trump's speeches and rallies, to which we continue to do to this day. We've also covered important conservative events like CPAC, tvOS, March for Life, and many other important events and hearings around the country. We were made for people like you, everyday Americans who are tired of the mainstream media, who are tired of being lied to, manipulated, and fed an agenda. Our goal here at Right Side Broadcasting is to allow you to see the truth, giving our correspondents and commentators a wide latitude to speak their minds. You won't find anything like this in the mainstream media. Your support through your donations, locals, and supporting our advertisers allows us to continue to cover important events around the country each and every day. So, from us here at Right Side Broadcasting, thank you for supporting us and the right side of history.